There we go. All right, so welcome to part 2 of our seminar 1. So it's the first day of 1 part B. So we're excited to have you here. A couple more students have joined us. So that's exciting too, and we'll have them introduce themselves. So it's a full day. Today's our Microcosmic Orbit day, among other things. So that's one of the big focuses of today. And we really get into our 5 elements and the depth and the emotional quality. We really get into it. So looking, and I love that because there's just so much to talk about in each of them. It's there. People think, oh, it's like, oh, it's wood, it's green, it's east, it's like this little thing. No, we make it into big, we expand on that really a lot and really get into them. So it'll be a fun 5 days. Okay, and so we're going to start. I'm going to pass it over to John to get you moving.
Yes, we're going to review our basic workout and we're adding our another exercise today. We're going to add the golden ball. So I'm going to invite you to find your place that we can stand and do our Wuji posture. Oop, get my feet here. All right, you see what I mean? It clears up when I go back here, so it all works. So let's take a moment and feel our feet on the floor. Let them be about shoulder width, kind of like imagine your shoulders dropping down between your feet. Get a sense of that connection with the earth. Sense of that earth energy rising up to help support your structure. And at the same time, that beautiful energy from the divine is coming down to help balance it out. So feel that sense of the feet on the floor, but then also notice as you bring your awareness up that your knees are flexible. We're not locking them because we want the chi to flow freely through the legs, connecting us with the earth, but also connecting us with the divine. And then up through the thighs to the pelvis, and get a sense of that grounding cord dropping down from your tailbone down into the earth like a 1,000-pound weight going down, like you're leaning against a high stool. Let the firmness come to the perineum, the pelvic floor, a little closing of the anal sphincter, so that we create this container here to breathe deeply. You want to make sure you can breathe deeply, so make sure you're not like squeezing on the anal sphincter so that you can't, or tightening anything too much, because you want to be able to breathe fully. So from our foundation, get a sense of the divine pulling you up to elongate the spine. Let the shoulders begin to drop. Let the chest soften. Let the elbows be heavy and the hands open. And imagine a little space here in the armpits. So they're not clamped against the body like this, but they're also not holding out like this. We're having a little space in the arms, under the arms. A slight tuck of the chin to help elongate the back of the neck. That'll become very important when we work with our microcosmic orbit. It's also a great way to keep the chi flowing. Eyes are soft, ears are closed as you bring your awareness more inward. Tongues on the upper palate as we close the mouth and begin to breathe only with the nose. Let's take some nice deep breaths in and out through the nose in this posture, and just see if there's any little things you need to do to help that structure so you can relax as best as possible in this posture. So everything's working evenly and nothing's working harder than the rest. So you're not leaning to one side, not constricting the shoulders. Everything's kind of in its place. And then let's take a nice breath in and lift the arms. Let's do a pulling down the heavens. Let's gather some energy from the earth. Let's turn them forward, grab nature and turn them up and grab some from the divine. And let's wash that beautiful energy across the front of the body, all the way down to the earth. And again, inhale, gathering from earth, from nature, from the sky above, and give a little wash down the back of the body. Cleansing and clearing any tension, any stress, and sending it down into the earth. Good, and one more time. Right through the crown of the head, right through the center of the throat, all the way through the torso and the pelvis and the legs, down through your feet, and down into the earth. Wonderful. And let's begin our practice today with our channel dredging. So we're going to bend forward and start at the big toe. Let's rub along the inner arch of the foot, inner calf, inner knee, inner thigh, front of the torso to the collarbone, underside of the arms from the armpits to the palms, and release that. Good. Backs of the hands, elbows and shoulders, side of the head, back of the neck, and then focusing on the side and back of the torso, the pelvis, the legs to the little toe. Inhale. Let's come up. Underside of the arms. Exhale. Release. Good. Inhale. Backs of the arms. Side of the head. Back of the head and neck. Side and back of the torso. You can start the exhale here and then finish it when you get to the little toe. Inhale. Getting up more what we call yin channels. We're going to learn a lot more about those, and then we get those yang channels. Or along the side of the head, side and back of the torso, the legs to the feet. Inhale. Coming up, underside of the arms, and like you're clearing out all the gunk that might be blocking channel flow, helping your organs be stronger. Just moving through to release it. Good. Couple more. Inhale. Coming up. Get the underside of the arms. Good. And then get the backs of the arms, side of the head, back of the head and neck, all the way down the side and back of the legs. And again, one more time. And of course, as we go through the year, we'll adding a lot more detail to all this. But for now, let's just kind of get a sense of clearing out any tension here. All the way down the side and back of the body to the little toe. And then slowly roll up. One vertebra at a time, coming your way back to standing. And let's move into our counter swing. Tossing away. So getting a sense as you toss that you're letting go of any tension in the body. So we breathe in at the center as the arms lift and exhale as we toss in both directions. One hand in front, one hand behind. Slight shift of weight following the movement of the front hand. But make sure it's not an up and down movement. Really want to make sure we don't get into that. We don't go like this. We're not doing this. We're just shifting over. Trying to make sure we don't create bad habits to start. So we're just letting go. Inhale. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And just notice, are you holding any heaviness in your body? Any stress or tension? Any worries? Any fears? What can we let go of at this time? Imagine you could toss some of that away, or maybe a lot of it away. Maybe there's some sadness or grief. Maybe there's some anger or frustration. Ooh, let's let that go. Good. Couple more. And finishing up and coming back to center and let your feet come a little bit closer together. Let's move into our dropping post. Ah, feel that nice bouncing, resonating through the bones from the heels, up through the legs, through the pelvis, up through the spine, to the crown of the head. Ah, you can always add a little sigh. That's a great way to release tension. And even though you're quite active, can you relax into the movement? Can you let the areas of tension release? So, for example, your jaw, can you let your jaw just hang and bounce? Let the back of the head and neck, where we hold a lot of tension, can you let that just kind of bounce? Can you release the shoulders? Can you release the tension in the hands or the arms, the spine, particularly the upper and lower spine? And even though the legs are active, can you release tension in the legs? Good. And then slow it down and pause. Take a breath in and rise up on your toes and get nice and tall. And then release. That's called stacking the bones as we realign all the skeletal structure here. We get nice and tall. And then release. Good. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And let's do one more round here. Where are you still holding on? Now that we've done it once, on this second round, where can we invite in more relaxation, more release? Where's that troublesome area that you want to maybe help that shoulder or that side of the head or the jaw or something? Oh, good. Getting a nice pulse that's helping to strengthen your bones. Your bones are actually getting stronger as you vibrate. Good. Let's take one more big breath in and let it go. And then pause and breathe in and rise up on your toes. Exhale, release. Super. Again, inhale. Exhale, release. And one more. Great. Let's step out. Back into our wuji, back to about shoulder width, and move into our trembling horse. So let's shake those hands. Moving into the wrists, then the elbows, then the shoulders. Exhale it down your body. Oh, good. Inhale as we go from the fingertips up to the shoulders. Oh, exhale from your head all the way down to your feet. Shaking loose any tension on the skin at the surface of the body. Through the nervous system or the fascia, all that connective tissue. Oh, shaking away, especially as it starts to get stuck there, especially emotions and thoughts that can create disharmony in the body. We want to shake it loose before it can cause us problems. Inhale, up the arms. Exhale, down the body. Two more times. Good. And just take a moment and just feel that vibration in your body. Feel your chi active. It's starting to move around a little bit easier. And let's do another pulling down the heavens. Let's gather from the earth, from nature, from the sky, and wash away anything we've shaken loose from the front of the body. Just washing that into the earth. Gathering more lovely energy from all around us. Doing the same thing down the back of the body. And each time we do this, we're also bringing all this loving energy to the body. Inhale, earth, nature, and sky, right through the crown of the head. Bringing in all this beautiful supportive energy and washing away anything that's unsupportive. All right, good. Let's begin to breathe only with the nose once again, tongues on the upper palate. And let's breathe in and do our 5 yang exercise. So the idea is like you're pulling in chi and then you're activating it. Getting like a golden ball right here at your belly. In, exhale. Breathe in to fill, breathe out to activate it, to spin it. And that spin goes up the back, down the front, creating a little orbit in the lower body. So let's play with that little lower orbit, that spin here. So as we breathe in and then exhale, you can do a little spinning motion up the back, down the front. And then inhale, exhale. Just to get this sense of this idea of how this spin is happening. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in with, fill with chi and then activate the chi. Couple more like that. Good, and then feel free to do that a few more if that helps you kind of get the sense of it. So let's pull in the energy and exhale. And you want to get a sense like the arms are actually working here. You're like working like the air's a little thicker, more like a water consistency. So you breathe in, pull it in, and then activate it. So it's important that we also have a nice container to work with this. So make sure that there's a little bit of firmness in the pelvic floor. Anal sphincter's closed, but not to the level that doesn't allow you to breathe fully. So this is where it really shows up when we're doing this exercise. Breathe in and spin. Good. Let's do 5 more. And one more time. And just pause. Take a little moment to breathe and imagine that happening without the physical movement. You breathe in and let it spin. Do that with your mind. Start to practice working with this idea of our awareness and our intention. Good. And let's bring our hands to the side and let's start to do our 5 yin opening exercise. So let's lift our arms and then drop your fingertips. Let your chin drop towards the chest, round the shoulders, and like a slow motion dive, you're going to work your way down towards the floor, releasing all the vertebrae of the spine. Gather a little energy there at the bottom. Bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, bring the pelvis forward, and then restack the vertebra one at a time as the arms just flow out to the side. Exhale, we'll go back down again, one vertebra at a time. Loosening up any tension that might be in the spine. Gather a little chi at the bottom. Bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, bring the pelvis forward, and then stack all the vertebrae back up again. Exhale. Inhale as we come up. Rolling up. Exhale. One more time. Here we go. Drop and get a sense of the neck releasing, then the upper back, then the mid back, and then the lower back. Bend those knees. Grab a little chi with your hands, and then bring the hips forward and start with the lower back. Mid back, upper back, neck, till the hands come above the head, and then drop the hands down. Let's say hello to the lungs. Inhale. Exhale. Make sure the hands don't touch. We'll lift them up, flip them over. Inhale. Palms up. Exhale. Lift. So these are roughly about shoulder level, and then drop this down to about chest level. So we're working with different aspects of the lungs. Inhale. Exhale. Breathing only with the nose. Good. Smile to your lungs. Remember, when we smile, when we do our Qigong, it brings a more vibrant chi in. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract the arms. Two more. Good, and then bring your hands close to you, and then drop them down right in front of your thighs. Take your right foot out a little further, so we have a wider stance in the shoulders. Take your left hand and bring it around, and you're going to touch the lower back. I'm going to turn around, but it'll look backwards from this side. But you want your palm to face away, right there behind the right kidney. Bring your right arm up, and we're going to give a little support to the right kidney. So let's pretend like we're a giant water wheel. We're going to go down and gather the water. Inhale, roll up and receive it. Roll down the spine to gather, using your hand like a big cup. Inhale. Exhale. Shifting across as you gather, come up, shift across as you receive it. Rolling up, rolling down. So as we gather that, it's coming all the way down the right arm, across the backs of your shoulders, down the left arm to that left hand that's touching your right kidney. So it's a big aqueduct. Gather this life force to charge up the batteries. Kidneys are like a battery. You want to have a lot of go-go juice here. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Great. And receive that energy, and then slowly transition the arms when you're ready. So now the back of your right hand is going to go right behind your left kidney. Your left arm will come up. And we'll do the same exact exercise for the left kidney. Gathering. Inhale, receive. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose at the top of the movement. Good. Exhale. Scooping up. Get a sense of it going down your left arm, across the backs of your shoulders, down the right arm to that hand that's touching the back of your left kidney. Good. A couple more. Rolling through. Exhale. Inhale. Good. Feel free to give your kidneys a little rub, a little loving rub. As you bring your feet in a little bit closer together, back to Wuji. And then bring your right arm out, bring your left hand to your hip. Let's say hello to the liver. So we're going to push through. We're going to do this in a cycle of 3. So let's inhale, inhale, inhale. Now we exhale, exhale, exhale. So a little sip, inhale, another little sip, a third sip. Now exhale, a little bit more. Finish, empty the breath. Inhale, 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 exhale, exhale, exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And play with that. 3 movements as you inhale, 3 more as you exhale. Working with the idea of a sipping breath to help fill up with the chi. You want to make sure that you're facing, the hands are going forward. You're not going off to the side. So make sure you're going right out in front of your body. And don't worry about the legs. We'll get more into that. I just can't do this anymore without moving my legs because that's part of the exercise. So I just invite you to just really get that focus of the arm movement and the breath. Tongue's on the upper palate, mouth is closed, breathing with the nose. Good, and finish the one you're on. Good. And then bring your right hand below your heart, left hand above. Let's say hello to the heart. Take a breath in. And then as we exhale, bring your right hand to your forehead, left hand to the heart, and we'll push through, create a nice protective space for the heart. Let's create a ball here at the center. Inhale. And now we're going to shift over to the left side. Exhale. Left hand will be on top. Then we're going to create that ball. And now we're going to shift the hands as the right hand comes to the forehead, left hand goes through the heart. Create the ball and then shift again. Left hand on top. It just takes a moment to kind of get that sense of creating the ball. And then we transition as we move to the other side. And then we create the ball. Transition. I'll give you a side view. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Smile to the heart. So even if you're having a little struggle with getting the choreography here, know that your heart's getting good chi. Good. Let's do one more to each side. Good. And then come back to the center. Let the arms drop down. Let's move into the spleen. Help the spleen. So let's take a breath in and make an outline of the earth. Exhale. Bring that energy down through the midline of the body. Flick your fingers to release any charge and then touch your thumbs and index fingers. Create a nice mudra here. Let's bring that up above the head. Now, if that's too stressful for the neck, because you're going to look through that, bring it a little more forward. Take another breath in here. And as you exhale, turn to your right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, go to the left. Breathing in, breathing out. So there's a little bit of a rise and a little bit of a twist and sink. So this one we do go up and down a little bit. Inhale a little bit higher, exhale a little drop and twist. like you're going over a little hill. Inhale up, exhale down. And smile as we support the spleen and the pancreas. Looking through the diamond that you've created with your hands. And the upper peripheral vision makes it a little bit easier so you don't have to bend your head back as far to hurt your neck. Inhale, exhale. Let's do one more to each side. Inhale back to center and then slowly let the hands drop down through the midline. And let your hands rest at your navel. Take a few nice deep breaths. And imagine all that energy that we've worked with today coalescing into a ball. And that ball is going to compress down to the size of a pearl. A beautiful pearl of light. And see that pearl drop down to your pelvic floor. Let the hands release. And now we're going to work with this. We're going to bring this pearl up the back, through all the vertebrae of the spine, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then we're going to bring it down the center line of the front. This is called Qigong stroke spirit. It's going to work with the microcosmic orbit, which we'll do a lot in detail today. So let's just get a sense of this idea. If we can follow that pearl up the back, down the front. Inhale as we bring it up the back. Exhale down the front. And it's really important that the tongue's on the upper palate so the pearl doesn't escape. We want to keep it on that pathway. So side view here, fingers towards the body to go up the back and then away from the body and down to symbolize it going down the front. So the back's a little bit more visceral. You might feel that a little easier. And the front's a little bit more like a waterfall. Just flows down nice and easy with the help of gravity. Inhale up. Exhale down. Two more. Good. Let's bring that pearl back to the navel. Let's pause there. Good. And now we're going to work with a new exercise. This is actually the last exercise in the workout. And then we'll just have one more to have a complete workout. So this one's called the golden ball. It's also a very regulating exercise, just like Qigong. So this is working with what we call the 8 actions of Qi. It's 4 pairs of how we can move energy. So we can lift and drop, gather and release. We can go in and out. We can go left and right. So we can play with all of these through this flow. So let's start. Let's breathe in and imagine we can create a ball, a golden ball of light. Exhale, lift it up to your heart. Inhale, let's expand it. Exhale, let's contract it. Inhale, bring it into the body. Exhale, push it away from the body. Inhale, drop it towards the floor. Exhale, release. There's the 8 movements. So we inhale, gather. Exhale, lift. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, bring it close. Exhale, push it away. Inhale, press it down. Exhale, release. So, gathering. Exhale, lift. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring it close. Exhale, push it away. Inhale, press it down. Exhale, release, like you're manipulating this ball of energy. So we start with a gather, and then lift, and then expand, contract, get a sense of pulling it into the body, and then push it away, press it down, and release. And notice the breath is alternating. So we breathe in, we start with a inhale, then we move to exhale. Then we move to inhale and exhale. And it continues to do that, alternating. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Let's play with that. A few more. This idea of moving this chi, expanding it. And then we can contract chi. We can also bring chi closer to us. We can push it away. We can move it downward. And we can also let it go. So we inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Breathe in as you got it. Bring it close. Exhale, push it away. Inhale, press it down. Exhale, release. And let's just hold the chi ball for a moment. Just feel that. The more you can relax into that flow, it opens up the channel flow and you start to get a stronger connection with the energies. So this idea like you can pull and push on this imaginary ball, we call that a chi ball. We can just kind of play with this idea of how energy moves through us a little bit easier as we go into those flows. Good. Let's take that, place that at the navel. Bring your feet a little bit closer together. And let's lock this in with 9 rubs around the navel in one direction. You decide which direction you want to start. And then do 9 more in the opposite direction. Good. And then rub your hands to generate some heat. Cup them over your glasses or over your eyes. And let's send some heat from our hands through our optic nerves into the brain. Exhale it down the spine to the Dan Chen, our cauldron here, our reservoir right at the navel. And do that a couple more times. And then a little wash of the face, up the center, down over the ears. Helping all the sense organs here. Getting the chi moving in the face, and then a little tap of the forehead. Up to the crown of the head, side of the head, back of the neck. Setting that in a little deeper really helps the lymph. Move over the shoulder, come down to the palm, up the back side. Come across to the other side. Following the channel flow as we do this direction. Say hello to the heart and lungs. A little bit into the underarms, help those lymph nodes on both sides. A little tap on the sides of the body. And then say hello to your digestive organs, going up the right side of your body. It's going to look backwards on the video, so make sure you're going up the right side of your body and down the left side as we circle around the abdomen, helping our digestive tract. One more time, and then tap beneath the navel. It's called CF Chi. Come around the waist and say hello to the chi belt and the kidneys once again. Little tap up and down the lower back. And then let's do the legs, starting at the buttocks, down the outer legs, around the feet and toes, back up the inner legs. And right here into leg gate, right here at the pelvis, all those lymph nodes. And then stimulate CF Chi beneath the navel one more time. And just have a moment just to come back into Wu Ji and feel your energy. Breathing nice and deep in and out through the nose. Check in with how you're doing and see if you feel a little bit more activity, a little bit more vibrancy. Good. And let's take this beautiful energy, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Drink water. We moved a lot of chi. Hey.
All right. Okay. Any just comments or questions on the workout, how you're doing with it?
Say something. I really
Sure.
enjoy how you're adding the breath to the exercises. I've done Qigong here and there was never a lot of attention on the breath. And it becomes really more natural once you do it a couple of times. I've been constantly practicing with your video. So I got all the time the correction and it really
Yeah,
helped.
great. Because eventually that's the goal. We want to, Qigong is movement, breath, and
Yeah.
the awareness. That's what makes
Yeah.
it very unique and very special and very healing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the comment. That was a
Yeah.
big part of it for me too, Esther. Getting that breath in there.
Yeah. Huge part of it.
I have a
Sorry.
question.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'll
Hi.
introduce myself later, but I just have a question on the breathing. When we do the purging, we breathe in with the nose and out with the mouth, and then later on with the organs only with the nose.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the goal is different. That's the reason. When you're
Mm.
trying to release energy, you want to breathing out through the mouth just helps to support that process of releasing, of cleansing or purging, as we say.
Mhm.
Whereas breathing with the nose helps to energize the body because it helps to balance out the breath a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Hi. Um,
Hi,
Hi.
Naomi.
so
Hi.
this one is about purging and supporting the organs. And then is this the one that we're doing? How long do we do this form for? And what do we want to notice from it? Or
So, you mean how long will we be working with this in class?
yeah.
All, forever. This is a big one. This is our Qigong workout. And as we go through it, we're going to get into, like I mentioned during the workout, we'll be doing a lot more detail. So you start to notice more. At the beginning, I mean, you've been doing this for a little bit. So you're familiar with this from Minka and other people. But um, for most people, it's about getting a sense of how we do this. What's the breath? What am I doing? Am I going left? Am I going right? What am I doing here? But after that, then I'm gonna invite you to check in more. We're gonna do a lot more with our awareness and see how does that affect you? I've been doing this series for 10, 15 years. Oh my goodness, 15 years. And
25 years.
yeah, she's been doing a lot longer. Oh, she had to show off. No. Um,
Yeah.
the and I've been doing it for so long, and I still find things. So it's a never-ending practice of the onion peeling kind of metaphor of learning about what's happening. You might get a lot of insights right at the beginning, and then not for a while, and then all of a sudden you'll have more insights. So
And you suggested it's purging, but it's not just the beginning part is purging. And then and then we get into the tonification
Mhm.
as
of
we
the
start the
organs.
five yang, the arms coming up and breathing into
Yeah,
the
that's all
belly.
tonifying. And then at the end, there's the regulating. And we'll be doing more regulating.
Yeah,
So it's overall, we add sounds to it. I mean, we do a lot of other things. Um,
we had color
Pay
to it, and
attention. Yeah, colors, breadth. I mean, it has a lot you can get into. It can go really deep. And, you guys did it. I did it too. I was doing it. Well, you were doing it. I don't follow John, because I'm sort of doing it at a different level, but that's my daily practice. So I add some Tai Chi in, and I do other things with it, but still, it's so fabulous for keeping all the organs of your body, your health.
Okay, so
Yeah.
because there's a lot, I mean, obviously I've been to your class, John, right? There's loads of different type Qigong
Oh,
exercises.
Oh, yeah.
yes, yes. I don't just teach this, I teach lots of different exercises.
Yeah, millions, but then that's
Millions.
like,
I don't know if I teach millions, but okay.
that's like millions.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm thinking about is in a practice, sometimes there's just so many different practices one could be doing. It
Right.
feels overwhelming. So, um, but this is the one that
I would say
really,
this is the one that's safe to do every day. It's a really good one to work with, to really build and get yourself comfortable with because it like Wendy said, this is for overall health and vitality. It keeps the chi flowing, breaking up the areas where it might not be working at the beginning and then starting to build energy and really goes from a focus of the organs because that's what we want to work with. We want to go back to the root of any issues we're having. We want to make sure those organs are strong. Yeah, so that's why this one's particularly good, and that's why Wendy and I still do it quite often.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I will switch it. We do have something called Ishwan in the therapist level, and so maybe I'll switch over to that, and I'll add, I might switch out and do some other stuff for a little while, but this is very foundational. I'll come right back to this. I always come back to this. So, yeah.
thank you.
And you'll be learning other exercises too as we go through
Yeah.
the course. So, but this is a good foundational one.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments to start with? So let's do some introductions then.
Yeah.
So, Elena, would you like to come back in and let people know who you are, where you live, what brings you
Mhm.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
I'm Elena,
Yes.
Elena. I'm,
Okay.
it's
How do you like us to say it?
Yeah, how would you like us to say it?
um probably Elena is the
Elena.
most common because I am Bulgarian,
Okay.
uh, but I grew up in Holland, and I'm used to my name being because in Bulgarian or in Greek it's Elena, it's a hard L, and in Holland they couldn't say that. So I'm used to all kind of different pronunciations.
Okay. Okay.
But I live now for 20 years in Bulgaria. Love living here. It's
You're in
better.
Sophia?
Yes, in Sofia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm here because I followed my breadcrumbs. It's just a path that I'm on. Um, when I listened to the introductions of the others, when I got the videos,
Mhm.
I had a thought that what am I doing here? All the others are so advanced, but I know what I'm doing here. It's 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 my way. I've been working with the Akashic Records.
Hmm.
Of course, I've
Oh.
done a training last year, and so this led me to you
Mhm.
because I want to clean up the gutters so that I can feel and listen better
Mm.
to to be more connected with myself and with the world. So that's the reason.
Nice.
And I love to learn. This is actually my main occupation. I worked as an artist and a graphic designer. I had my own business, but I switched to learning now.
Hey,
That's
lovely.
great. That's great.
Yes.
And you're in the right place because we get concerned like, oh, compare ourselves.
Mm.
No, no, no. You're gonna learn what you need to learn that works best for
Mhm.
you. Yeah.
Mhm. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Tariq. Let me add you. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Tariq. I am from Vancouver and I'm back living in the Lower Mainland again, currently. I was a bit of a gypsy traveling as an international showgroom for horses. Uh, so I've been all over Europe and a lot of the US and Mexico and everywhere. And through that, I learned that I could speak to the horses and feel their all that. So then that led me to learning to talk to them more, and it led me to becoming a Reiki master and a Karuna Reiki master. And then my master there that taught me led me to another form, craniosacral therapy for horses.
Oh, yeah.
What she learned from was like 30 minutes from where I spent like 6 months out of the year in Florida.
Mm.
That teacher stopped teaching because of COVID, but then I went to the institute and she was Canadian. And she's like, I'm gonna make a Canada like a Canadian program. It's gonna be better, so just wait. So then I ended up taking that program, and then that led me to like coming here. So I tend to work on mostly horses, and sometimes people.
You're gonna love. We got to introduce you
Nice.
to Allie. We have a former student that's what she does.
I do know Allie, yeah.
You do
Oh,
know
you
Allie.
know
I was gonna
Allie.
wonder. I was
Okay.
wondering if you did. You must. I was like, this. They must know each other.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. It's lovely working with animals, isn't it? Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
super work.
yeah,
That's very, very awesome. Love it.
yeah.
Okay. And you like your name is Tariq.
Terrible.
Sorry.
Tariq. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we got it.
yeah. Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Wow, that's exciting. So a little check-in with the other folks with us. So we're the other folks. So since our last class, I've had the pleasure of teaching, I guess, 2 mediumship classes. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mediumship 1 and 2, which were super awesome and fun and powerful. Mediumship 1, we work with angels and the people who, beings who've passed over and like doing the mediumship. And so we learned 2 things about it, how to help people pass over who are stuck, and then how to communicate with the dead and bring through messages for the living. So we have 2 aspects of that. And so that's really fun and powerful in mediumship 1. And then mediumship 2, we work with archangels, and they're about sending messages, but they're very much about healing, and well, they're also good with, archangels are good with everything. So it's kind of in some ways it's a really therapeutic class, and they're in charge. It's sort of like I never quite know what that class is going to be, because they kind of I'm like, I want to do this. They're like, no, we're doing this. Don't think about that. This is where we're going. And people have a fantastic time and have a lot of transformation in that class. So yeah, so I did that. Plus John and I finished up the Therapist 6 training,
Yep.
which was lovely, powerful, and yeah. So Therapist 6 training is called the Tao Yins. It's the Tao Yins, plus it also addresses chi deviations and sort of the expanding into that, and it's a big field.
Yeah.
But the breath work, tons of breath work, and work on, like, there's postural Tao Yin, there's respiratory Dao Yin, and then there's the spiritual Dao Yin or mental Dao Yin. And so, we're kind of working on all these aspects through the 10 days of that training. So that one's is awesome for everyone. And yeah, and then next week there's a master's training. So we got a lot going on. I got a lot going on. But excited to be here with all of you. So, John.
Yes. So, like Wendy said, I helped her with the therapist, which is always fun because it takes a lot of the stuff that you're learning and just really expands it and takes it into a lovely place, working with our movement, breath, and awareness into a deeper way. Um, and then it was fascinating because I just had this call that I should get a new computer. So I went to the Apple store and literally bought it the same day that I walked in, which was a week ago Monday. And then I was kind of downloading my stuff from my old computer and I got most of it. But then my computer decided it didn't want to take a charge anymore. So it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I bought a computer. So, I'm going to see if I can go to the store and they can find a way to get the rest of the stuff that's on there. So I lost all my music. I don't have any of my meditations. I'm like, so I want to get those back. And I want to figure out how to get rid of this blur thing. So, but other than that, it's been really nice. I kind of like fall. That's one of my favorite seasons. I love this time of year. It's just the colors are one of the positives, I guess, so to speak, of global warming in Vancouver is we get bright colors now. We used to never get them. Everything was yellow. It just turned yellow and then they'd fall off. But now they're like oranges and reds and all kinds of vibrant colors, and it's quite amazing. And that's because we have such dry summers now. So I guess one positive from that. So that's kind of what I've been enjoying. I love walks in the woods when the trees are changing. So yeah, so that's where I've been since we last.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Beautiful here too. So we're having a big rainstorm today, which is fun. And,
Yeah.
California, we love to have, especially this time of year, you want to make sure everything gets wetted down and everything's wet. Not an issue.
Yeah.
Wasn't a super hot fall, so we're very lucky. So
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Well, it's Vancouver, so it's definitely raining here.
You got rain too.
It's
So
November.
it's fall, yes. Okay. So anyone else with anything to share? We do like to hear from people how they're doing with it all. Kind of keep us connected. Glad to see people are using the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that. I mean,
Just think of it. I just thought about it. I have to add, I don't think Lena and Tariq, I've added you yet, so I have to double check that. So
yes, it's
I'll make
great
sure I do that.
great to be on there. Yeah. Okay. So, what say we get into some lecture? We can start. We'll start the class. Well, we've already started the class with John, so we're going to start this part of the class. The next part to start. Okay, so let's see, where are you? Here it is. Okay. So microcosmic orbit. Wow, it's a big topic. Let me see. I want to get a slideshow. There we go. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Let me just try that again. Oh, geez. Uh-oh. I'm doing it. No, it's
Your computer too.
okay. Well, I know what this issue is. It's that suddenly as I started today, I had I'll try it again. It did it. Oh, good. I had Microsoft saying, because I have two new computers and I bought the Microsoft suite for my other computer, and this computer, it was working fine. It's like, oh, good, it works on both now that I've, got the new one. And now it's like, you can't use it. So it's like, oh no, just now. I mean, just as I was setting it up. Anyway, apparently it's working enough to use it. So I'll have to be buying it, I guess. Microcosmic orbit. So what is that? That's a way of regulating the body's chi. So if you're trying to follow in the PDF, I did move this around a little bit because I want to talk about it first before we talk about the details. And why do we want to learn this? There are a lot of reasons to learn this. And one of our big reasons for having this are the many healing benefits that come out of it. So it's the primary breathing method used in advanced medical Qigong training for guiding and emitting Qi. So we want to use this because it develops and it increases the Qi flow of the body, magnetic flow around the polarities of the body, the head, the positive charge, and the pelvis being the negative charge, generates more life force and vitality. And so it's actually a way of increasing your vitality. So as this energy is able to move up the back and down the front of the body, it's like wrapping copper wire around a magnet, and it starts to generate a flow of energy. And so it's a way of generating this flow. So it's important just as a way to get more life force and vitality when it opens up. It connects you to the larger field around you, the field of heaven and earth, and draws vitality and chi into you. Now, some of you have probably practiced microcosmic orbit and never felt that happen, but you have to practice it to a certain degree where it's flowing on its own before you're going to have that happen. So that can require a lot of breaking through of blockages. So it's a journey. So getting the microcosmic orbit going is actually a big journey. And one of the ways it starts is with the breath and the breath into the lower dantian. And so your breath practice that you had, that you started in the last class, is an essential aspect of microcosmic orbit training. And so the microcosmic orbit is two channels of the body. Now I'm going to leave this image and go to a different image. Not sure that, well, I'm going to go to this one. Okay. So this is a very classic image of the body's energy, and it's sort of about the human and their relationship to the world around them, to heaven, to earth. It's showing all these. You might see the images of trees in the middle there. You see sort of plateau with some trees. You see some mountains kind of things going on. And so this is a very classic image of man and the relationship, and how the man is a microcosm of the larger macrocosm of the world outside, that the world outside is reflected inside. And so the energy inside, and so the flows, and you might see that cart down the bottom. There's like a cart, and this idea is that is the movement, that there is a movement of energy. And so as there are movements of energy in the outer world, there are movements of energy in our inner world. Let me pull up a different image here. And sure, do we give out this image, John? I'm not sure. Did we do that this year? Sometimes we.
No, we did not.
Okay, so in the microcosmic orbit, this is an image, and you'll see that we have the sun up on the top of that image. But down at the bottom of this would be like the new moon. Oh, North Star, yeah, North Star. I guess it's the new moon at the top. Anyway, the full moon would be at the bottom. So we have the movement through the year. So if we have the sun at the top, we have the flow of energy that comes through the seasons. Okay, yeah, yes. So if you look at inside of the head there, you'll see a full moon at the top. I was right. And it goes down to the new moon, the dark circle at the bottom there. And then it comes up the spine as it becomes the new moon. And so that would suggest a monthly energy flow within the body that follows the lunar cycle. And so we have reflection inside of us of the lunar cycle. We have the energy of the seasons. You could look at it as a full year. So above the head would be more summer, and at the base of the body would be the winter. So there are all of these inner reflections of this movement. And so I'm going to get rid of this now. Okay, and so then we're going to look at looking at here again. And so in this, we're looking at this movement of energy within the body, and that it's natural and normal for this energy to move. But when we do the microcosmic orbit, it is shifting this and making it more conscious and more powerful. And we're doing this specifically. It's considered to be a Taoist meditation, Taoist inner alchemy meditation that is designed to transform the energy, and we've got alchemical transformation of Jing to Qi. And so the channels of the body, the acupuncture meridians you're used to, are very much, sometimes they're called Jing Lo channels. They're about the movement of Jing, or life force energy, through the body. And so they're about the movement of this Jing. So when we do the microcosmic orbit, we're actually not using those channels. We're using parts of what are called the 8 extraordinary vessels. And these are the more primal energy flows. And we showed those the last time when we looked at the energetic development from the egg, from the zygote, as it grew. The first one was called, we might call it the Chong Mai, or the thrusting vessel, the very center of the body. The next two were called the Du Mai, which we call the governing vessel, which is the yang of the body, and the Ren Mai, or the conception vessel, which is the yin of the major yin and yang flows of the body. And these are the two foundational meridians of the 8 extraordinary vessels. They were like what showed up like right away, major pathways, highways of the body. And so we're going to show a picture of that. Or do they have a picture of that in their handouts? I think they do.
The Montauk Chia one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, what page is that?
That is on should be on 18 or 19. Let me double check that. There's
Okay.
2 pictures, one for 18, one's 19.
Okay.
The Montauk Chia one's on page 18. And then there's
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Heavenly Cycle of the Microcosmic Orbit is on 19.
Okay. Okay, so you're seeing so you can see, so up the back, there's a meridian that is shown there, and it has certain names to it, the different points along there, which are also the places where energy gets blocked. So those are important points, but they're important for different reasons. But that is the main yang flow of the body. And the front is the conception vessel or the renmai, and that is the main yin flow of the body. And so when we get this energy moving, we are balancing the yin and the yang energies of the body. And so if that becomes one flow, you're starting to create balance. You're getting rid of the polarization of yin and yang. You start to create a balanced energy flow in the body. Sometimes in yoga, I think Tibetan yoga, it's called the warm flow or the warm current because because it's not hot and cold anymore. You're creating a warm, balanced energy through the body, and it creates this transformation also of the jing as it goes up the spine. It's very much like Kundalini yoga. In Kundalini yoga, you're wanting to have the energy to be able to rise up to the head. It's sort of like you know, the arising of expanded consciousness and wisdom and inner sight and enlightenment and all those things. And so when we look at that, we're moving the jing to the qi. The qi zone is at the heart, as we've talked about before, middle dantian, jing to qi. And then as it continues to rise, it goes qi to shen. So the energy in the microcosmic orbit actually transforms as it comes up the spine. So Jing to Qi, Qi to Shen, and even Shen to Wu Ji and Wu Ji to Tao. So we're really wanting to bring this energy up into this flow. Now, we're going to start off, it's going to be Jing to Qi, Qi to Shen, and then Shen to Qi, Qi to Jing. As we initially are moving this energy around. It's when you go to the Wu Ji and then you go into the Tao, that's a big transformational experience. So you would notice that really strongly. But basically, you're going to have this wonderful, and you're refining the energy. And so it becomes, if you go to the gas station, you can kind of pump the low grade, medium grade, and high grade. So you're getting a high grade of energy there. And so we're wanting to upgrade. And Jing, you can also look at water. Jing would be ice. Jing is the most solid form of water, and it has the impact on creating matter. So it's right down there, Jing, ice, matter, slow. And then Qi is like liquid. And so then you have it more able to move around the body. And then Shen is more like the steam. And so you can look at it also that way. So, but it is a more refined, and as it becomes more refined, it becomes more intelligent. Because what has the most intelligence? The most wisdom comes from the higher the vibration. So the Wu Ji and the Tao have the highest and the finest vibrations, the most opportunity for healing, most powerful. And then as that comes down, you come down, and then that informs matter. So it goes from the Tao to the Wu Ji to the Shen to the Qi to the Jing. So influencing matter comes back down into the Jing. So we rise up the spine, we're refining, and we come back down the front of the body, bringing in the energy, the vitality has more wisdom for healing the body. So, okay, it's a lot to take in here. So remember it's recorded. So increases upward flow, qi, blood, bone marrow into the brain. Yes, so it does do that. Brings body, mind, and spirit into alignment, creating peace and harmony. So that's what we're really interested in. It's this balance of the yin and the yang, our big channels coming together, talking to each other, balancing out. And with that, we start to bring the body, mind, and spirit more into alignment. So clinically, we can say that it's good for leading qi and blood to the extremities, and the qi would be the jing. And so as you do this, there's more circulation, there's more life force moving. We don't want stagnancy in the body. Stagnant energy is, you could say, lethal. As we all know, if it's a person has to lie in bed for a really long time, all sorts of bad things start to happen. It's not a good situation. And so this is the life force. It's moving. In fact, if they are lying in bed and they can't move, maybe they can still do this. Maybe they can still move some qi and blood around. Anyway, it's a good thing to do. It's good for treating patients with weak blood and with weak qi and blood circulation. And so we do this. It's part of every treatment is how we end the treatment. We give them that flow. It's also good for people if they have hypotension, they have low blood pressure, learning this is good. And weak qi and blood circulation. So them learning this is good. It's really good to learn if they have weak lungs, they have poor kidney circulation, spinal issues, blockages, pain, scoliosis, etc. I mean, it's really good for anyone to learn this, and this is why all the Taoists learned it and practiced it. There are some contraindications for what is called the fire cycle, which we're going to go to and look at next. What's that mean? What's water cycle? So if a patient has hypertension, we use a reverse flow. We go down the spine and up the front of the body. Heart disease, down the spine, up the front of the body. Angina, same thing, migraines. We can do a wonderful reverse flow of that. But there are also contraindications for the water cycle, in which case you need to use the fire cycle. Someone who has a big issue with hemorrhoids, that's the energy descending the spine, acid reflux, hypotension, of course, hypotension, you want to use the fire cycle. But then there's emotional issues, psychological, mental illnesses. Water cycle is not good because that brings in more of that same sort of ungrounded state of consciousness. It's much more often the watery and the intuitive, which can be great for some people, but not great for others. So we have to kind of watch those things. Okay. So any questions about that so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Naomi was wondering about what if there is both migraines and hemorrhoids or hypertension and mental illness? What if you got a combination?
Yeah. And so in some cases, what a person really needs to do is build up their qi in the lower dantian and just have that focus down there before moving that focus up into the crown. So you would do a shorter microcosmic orbit. So you could do a microcosmic orbit that just comes from the perineum, coming up the back to what we call T11, which is opposite the solar plexus, but just to have a microcosmic orbit, a short one in the lower part of the body. So you're just microcosm, just like you're doing with the Guanggang, not Guanggang, with the five yang.
Young, yeah.
Yeah, beating and drumming the qi. You would start with beating and drumming the qi for a while to help just consolidate that energy down in the low part of the body, which is just really powerful and great too. So,
Just wondering, is that the same with pregnancy?
that would be good for pregnancy. Yeah. Yeah, that energy circulation in the lower part of the body, that focus down there, that bringing, because it's sort of like a magnet. So it's going to be bringing all that qi into the lower part of the body. Yeah. Okay, that was a good question. Okay. Shift. Okay, let's see.
Wendy,
Yes.
on the last slide, you had something that if somebody you use the water cycle instead of the fire.
Yes?
I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, let me show you.
We're just about to go there.
Okay.
There's a lot more to this slide presentation, so
Yeah.
have no fear. Okay, here we go. Microcosmic orbit pathways. Yes. 3 primary methods to harmonize the body's Jing, Qi, and Shen. And so the fire cycle, it's the number 1. Relates to the sun and heaven because it's fire. And I said it's the more grounded one, it's the more of the earth one, even though relates to the moon and the earth is the second one, but it is much more watery. And so watery is more intuitive, which is great, but the fire one is where we start, especially because it's the one that clears out emotions. And so the pathway of the microcosmic orbit gets blocked in different places, and the blockages come right back to, and we're going to be talking more, I think seminar 2, we get talking about blockages. Seminar 3, I correct that. So there can be blockages along this. So the fire cycle is really good for clearing these blockages and creating this strong flow. And so the fire is like it burns them out. So we want that to begin with. The water path doesn't really do that. The water path is sometimes used by psychic schools to open up people's intuition. You do a reverse orbit. Problem with that is that it doesn't clear out the emotions. And so you end up having people who are psychics, but they haven't cleared their own emotional kind of baggage. And so a lot of what they bring through can be colored or tainted by their unprocessed emotions. So they can mix something, that's coming through with opinions, like personal opinions and attitudes. Then we have the wind path. The wind path is something I'm going to be teaching in the master's class. And so really need to have done the fire cycle and the water path before you really look at the wind path. The wind path has to do with the energizing of the crystal chamber or the pineal gland. And so we want this other work, this foundation to be here before we go there. The fire path, here it is. Yang or fire cycle of the microcosmic orbit. It's yang, even though it is both yin and yang meridians, not meridians, extraordinary vessels. So the 2 extraordinary vessels. So foundational meditation for internal elixir cultivation or Taoist internal alchemy. And this is really what is the foundation of Taoist inner alchemy. This is the Neigong trainings. So very powerful. And of course, this comes from, thousands of years of practice. Allows the trapped emotions within the tissues to be released. So trapped emotions can cause chi deviations. So we don't want to have emotions trapped in the body. You don't want to have them, it causes lower back aches, causes that backache right behind the heart, causes sore necks, all sorts of things that go on in the body are coming directly from these trapped emotions and blockages. And so emotional energies are released from the body naturally and easily. I don't know about that, but
I was just going to say, I was going to challenge you on that too, naturally and easily. Sometimes, yes.
yeah, nah, I think that's a little bit of a, false advertising. Can you make a note for me on that page?
You got it.
Q14. We got to work on this, but you get to find out where these blockages are. And that's good. And then we can, and so we have a lot of other meditations that are to do with releasing emotions, especially coming up in seminar 2. We have a lot of these ways to work on your emotions. But the important thing with learning this is that for a while in China, they had what they called the time of the cooked brains. And that was when they were doing Kundalini yoga that had come across the Silk Road from India. And because they were Taoist practitioners, they would sit and do things, obsessively, you might say. They would work on these things. And if you obsess over it, then you get the Kundalini energy, which sits at the base of the body, kind of where they're showing that lower Dantian, which is that's a very odd picture for the lower Dantian. Can you note that to me too? That's not lower Dantian. That's very weird. Anyway, that's maybe uterus or something. So when that energy gets very powerful and it rises up, it can break through blockages and go to the brain. And then you can go from the brain, running on maybe 12 volts, and you just plugged a 12-volt system into 110 volts. And then we have what we call Kundalini syndrome. And that can be really, really tough. And so you don't want to ever have Kundalini syndrome. It means the person, starts to see things in other worlds. They can not be able to eat, not be able to sleep. I mean, seriously, not be able to. And they can often end up in a psych ward. It used to be what pretty much happened was people went to the psych ward when this happened. So we don't want that. And they didn't want that to happen. And so this is a way of opening up. You go from 12 volt to 13 volts to 14 volts to 15 volts. So so the idea here is that you open these channels very gently, and that the energy, that increase that you get into your consciousness is on a nice safe. So there's a lot of safety about this. So it's like there's a safe path for this energy to rise, but also to come back down. And so it's something that, of course, that I give to people who come to me with Kundalini syndrome. And, this can, help to a certain degree. I'm often giving them the water path, which we're going to look at in the next slide. So water path is not always. You start with fire path, then you're going to go to water path. You're going to see what works, what helps that person. But remember, they've created a short circuit, and those short circuits in the brain they're very slow, in my experience, very slow to heal. So, okay. The 5 gates. So this is what we're talking about, where you can have blockages. Lower spinal paths, also called the gate of immortality at the coccyx. And so for this energy to move up the spine, we got to wiggle the coccyx. We got to open up the coccyx. And we will do this by having some contractions around the anal sphincter. We'll squeeze a little bit in front of the anal sphincter at the perineum and on the anal sphincter, like you're trying to hold it back. And behind the anal sphincter, which is always an interesting little muscle, which is how you wag your tail. So there's a little tail wagging coccyx muscle. So you can play with that. And then we have our middle spinal path, which is right at Mingmen. Mingmen is, well, that was kind of good. Is right where that arrow is, inhaling up the governing vessel. So Mingmen is, you can see my cursor, it's right in here. That's opposite your navel. Maybe the navel, can't tell the navel. Right in there somewhere. Back of the waist. So that's one. So you can just feel that for a second. And gate of life. And Mingmen means destiny gate. And so, so it's very important that we open this up. and that we feel good with our destiny gate. So sometimes this doesn't open because a person doesn't feel safe. So there can be a lot of safety issues, even with the Cox pass too. These are often, that's coming from the earth and the earth energy rising. People get very resistant to the earth. Like, I don't trust the earth. It's kind of a dangerous place to be here. I'm not sure whether I really want to be having this lifetime. And then that comes up to Ming Men, and it's sort of the same thing. I'm here, but I'm not sure I want to be here. So yeah, I want to be here, but I'm kind of like held back somewhat. And I'm not sure I really feel safe. So you got to really feel safe in your body and in your world to open up this life pass. And then the upper spinal pass is right behind the heart, Shendao. And that is about opening the heart, how open is the heart. And so we like to to work on these. But the nice thing is we're not going to be bringing like a huge amount of energy through here. So we're gently opening things. And then we have occipital pass at the base of the skull. So we just put your finger there and just feel that for a second, because we're breathing through these points. So just rub the base of your skull. Just touch it there. Get familiar with that spot. Breathing up through here. And then the crown. And so opening all of these up. So the top of the head, the crown. Yes. Those are our gates. These are also areas that get blocked. And so when we've come through there, we're going to be bringing the energy down the front of the body. So see the tongue position here? So we want to have that tongue up just above the front teeth. If it's on the tongue's on the front teeth, that's the metal position. So we don't want the tongue to be on the front teeth. We want to be just above, which is fire position. If the tongue is straight up, then you're into what we call the wind position. So we have a whole series of positions of the tongue. So we want the fire position, one you can see here. Okay, and now we have a bit of a more detailed picture here coming up. And so we can start at the base of the body, Hui Yin, then we come up to the coccyx.
And this is the one, everybody, that's in page 18 of your handouts.
Okay, nice. And then Ming Men, door of life, kidney point, prenatal energy, storage, safety point. Yeah, it's a great spot. Ming Men, we love our Ming Men. Nourishes our kidneys. So important. And then we have our adrenals. So we also come up through T11, 11th thoracic, for our adrenal gland. So we consider these to be sort of pumps that we kind of come up to. And then we come up to the base of the neck, sometimes called big hammer. So this is the tendon connection point to the hands, spinal cord, but also to it's the back of our fifth chakra, so it has a lot to do with speech and communication. Then our base of the skull, sometimes called the cranial pump. And it's also called the mouth of God point because we get information coming in through this when it's open. And then our crown, pineal gland at the crown. Well, actually, pineal gland is not at the crown, but it is down below, but it helps the pineal gland. So that energy coming down from the crown can drop into the and light up the pineal gland or pineal gland, depending on where you live. Gland of direction, enlightenment gland. Okay, lots of names. Pituitary gland as we come down the front. This is all the governing channel. So those white circles are representing our yang channel, the governing or the do channel. And then we use the tongue to connect two channels. So the tongue has to bridge here. So the tongue is the bridge between the upper, between the do and the ren. So this is important. And and pituitary gland, crystal room, cavity of the spirit tongue. So a lot of names there for that, the third eye gland, our third eye point. But then as we come through the tongue, now we get into water. And so it becomes a broader channel. And it basically is like a waterfall down the front of your body. So very easy. We come down to the throat center, to the heart center, or the thymus gland. The heart's behind that. Solar plexus, the navel, and sometimes called the ovaries palace, sperm palace, or the sexual center. And coming down from there to the huiyin, the perineum, which is also called the gate of death and life, the huiyin. So, so we have these other pathways, just to let you know about them. So there's two different images or two different pathways for the water cycle. And you don't use this till after the completion of the fire path. However, the water cycle is what animals are on. Their energy flows this way. That's why you pat an animal down from the top of their head down their back. Same thing that you do for a child. You put your hand over their head and kind of stroke down their back, or to calm someone down, because it brings down this more calming water cycle. But it is the pathway in children up until puberty. So when puberty hits, their energy shifts. If you've ever had a teenager, you would be kind of know that. If you've ever been a teenager, you probably know that too. And so before that, when they're on the water path, you're very dreamy. You can take, a sandbox and play in a sandbox all day long. Something that an adult's going to have a pretty hard time doing. But a child can do that. They can believe in the little roads that they make, and the twigs that become trees and all those things. So that's the second sight that goes on with the water cycle. So it makes a person much dreamier. And so it is a reversal of the fire cycle. This image is the actual fire cycle, which is a separate flow, and you can have fire and water cycles happening, because this one is a separate flow. We're going to look at, there's another water cycle that isn't a separate flow, which is the one that we're going to start off using. And the purpose of the water to regulate and charge the body's Yan Shen, sports the perceptual side of consciousness, imagination, and inner perceptions. Cools down the body's overheated yang qi. Yes, it's very good. So if someone's on chemotherapy, it's good for them to do some water cycle so they can cool off. Regulates the qi circulation of the fire path to rebalance the body. So it can be good to do both. And qi transforms into shen. And the tongue is farther back on the soft palate. And sometimes that's not the tip of the tongue, that's more the middle of the tongue, which you can slide back. So not straight up, but the tongue behind that. And you see this is a different image of it. So this is a different water path. Exhale down the governing vessel and up the front of the body. Of course, the tongue in this case would probably be on the fire path, because it's coming up, it's reversing through the tongue that way. Again, but it increases intuition, but if you must purge emotions first, or it could produce psychosis. If you make that your primary flow, and you haven't done the fire cycle first. So we consider the fire cycle to be the one that needs to happen first. Even if you can do that one and you keep your fire cycle down in the lower abdomen, is that lower cycle. It's okay. And so Qigong, stroking beard, is a way of doing this, gathering the alchemical agent. Move cultivated Jing, Qi, and Shen along the microcosmic orbit fire cycle. Hands lead the flow of Qi. Oops. There we go. Yes. Best to use after the lower dantian has begun to heat and vibrate following Qigong practice. That's why it's at the end. Use reverse abdominal breathing method. And so John leads you through this. Inhalation and exhalation patterns to expansion and contraction of the lower abdomen tissue is reversed. And so you're breathing into the back. So it's like when you're breathing into your kidneys, that's a nice reversal. And exhale, then relax. So you breathe back into your kidneys and exhale, relax. Everything's kind of going down. Upon inhalation, the lower abdominal muscles compress like a bellows, causing the lower dantian to Qi to rush upward into the torso and the brain. So you don't especially want it to rush upward into the, I think those words are like, nah, that can be a little dangerous, especially if someone has even mild hypertension. So we kind of do that gently and slowly. So, I think we're back to square one again here. Cover it. So, let's see. Okay, questions about that? So it's a lot about as is outside is reflected inside. And so bringing the movement. So Taoists were very big on our relationship and not seeing ourselves as separate. So if we're not separate, then we must have these things going on inside of us too. They're not just outside. And so beginning to bring that experience more to inside of the body. Okay, so my experience with the microcosmic orbit, which I learned years ago, 38 years ago, moving on to 40, was that it was very hard. It took me a long time to get anything happening with this movement of this microcosmic orbit. And this is when I was on that very intensive retreat where we did, kind of our 12-hour practice days. And that would be sitting and focusing on it. It wasn't just be like, oh yeah, remember to do that while you're doing everything else. No, it was like sit and practice. So I did a ton of sitting and breathing in a microcosmic orbit. And it took me about 3 months to get it to start. And it was really exciting. It's like, oh my God, my microcosmic orbit is starting to move on its own. Wow. And we're talking hours a day. So it was very challenging back in the day. It was like, it wasn't anywhere out there in the consciousness of the world that you could connect to. People were not doing microcosmic orbit for the most part that long ago. So it took a very, very long time. But it did open up, and then it started to run, and it has run ever since. And it runs very fast. So it's a constant energy that's always going in the body. And, it connects into the other 8 extraordinary vessels. And so, this, which one does it come to here? So it connects in. Anyway, it connects into the other ones, and then it gets them going. And then you get a larger circulation, which I'm actually teaching in seminar 10, which is called the Great Bridge, Great Regulator Channel meditation. And so then you got all 8 of them going at the same time. And then these hold the energies. They're sort of like the reservoirs in many ways for the regular channel, Jinglo channels, the regular meridians that you're familiar with in acupuncture. And so then that in turn gets all of those going. So the idea is you get this one going, you generate this one, you start it up kind of prum, 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 and it's like, and then everything else starts like, oh, now that goes, okay, now that goes, and the whole thing starts to go. So, and yeah, so John, what's your experience of microcosmic?
Yes, I didn't do it that far long ago, but I still, the energies were much different. And that's one thing Wendy and I talk about a lot is how as we go further into this training and how the worlds and the energies that are out there are just so
Yeah.
much more available to get. That doesn't mean it's always easy to find, but they're easier that they're from the aspect that they're more plentiful. So when I worked with the microcosmic orbit, we talked about chi deviations. I had one behind my heart because it would just kind of come up and then whoop, go around my heart from the back here. And I had no problem in the front, but it'd go kind of like take a little off ramp and go around the heart and then continue up. So I had to work with that one for quite a while, and that also was some personal work because had a sense of why that might be there. So I was working with that too, because that's a big important point for self-love and that kind of energy is right there at the Shendao. So eventually I got it working, and I did one of those gongs. I did a 100-day gong of 30 minutes of microcosmic orbit practice. And at first it wasn't working there, and then I started to work that, and then all of a sudden I got it going, but then it tried to move to my left side. It wasn't in the channel, it was over here, and then it moved to the right side, it was over here. And I was like, okay, what's going on? It's just shifting around, and I just realized over time that that was clearing out some things in me that needed to be cleared. And then it's weird because it just felt like it just kind of a click. It just kind of went into place, and then all of a sudden, I started to notice that it was flowing quite easily through the channel. And I also always catch myself because now, as a way to activate it, I just touch the right behind the upper front teeth. I notice that my tongue is there quite often. It's quite often so that I can help support that flow because it's a very balancing flow. It balances out as we talked about. So.
Yeah. Yes, and so it is that if you wonder if you have a microcosmic orbit that flows on its own, you put your tongue right up on there, and then you would feel a pulse. And that'll tell you if your microcosmic orbit is just flowing, and you don't have to do anything. It's just there, and it's just so it's obviously going very, very fast. It's not the same pulse. Like we have a lot of rhythms in the body, which we actually get into in the next seminar. So it's not the same as the heart. It's not the heartbeat. It's not the pulse of the breath. It's not the pulse of the cerebral spinal fluid. It's its own chi pulse. And yeah. And then that can move out, and there's another chi pulse for the great bridge, great regulator. Well, no, I guess they're the same. So you can find those too. Just really good to see that your energy is moving in that way. The other thing that we have to do to get the energies to move through is to connect the first point on the point 1 on the Renmai or the conception vessel with point 1 on the dumai. So the renmai comes up from the perineum to the tip of the tongue, and the dumai goes from the coccyx to the roof of the mouth right there. And so we have to be able to get these two connected. And so we connect the two by getting the energy at the perineum and then moving, like what I talked about, getting your coccyx to wiggle. So in front of the anus, like a energy, coming together there, a little bit of squeezing, and then the center, and then behind the anal sphincter, and then you could have got those front, middle, back, and that pulls the energy. If you go front, middle, back, it pulls the energy from the perineum. Instead of coming up the front, it goes up the back of the body. And so that's very important. And we're going to be doing all that. I'm going to lead you through it in lots of detail. And before we get into that, John's going to do some work with you to open up the spine. Before we do that, we're probably going to take a break. Are any questions before we take a break? See any questions in the chat, John?
Let's see. Oh, yes, Barbara was wondering, 30 days of the same practice or any practice. She meant 100 days. 100 days of practice, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Gongs can be, as you do more and more work here, you can make a gong out of anything. You could do a meditation for 30 days or some lovely meditation set. As you get more advanced, you can do like Sleeping Dragon and things like that. But at this level, we recommend the Microcosmic Orbit.
Yeah. And it can even be good to start before doing it, do your 5 yang exercise.
Yeah.
Or do following the whole series. Because
Right.
you have some chi built up to move.
Right.
So having the chi there is very helpful to get the energies going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or some deep breathing or any of those wonderful things. Okay, so let's see. It looks like we can take a little break till 1/4 past the hour.
1/4 past the hour, everybody. So we'll see you at 1/4 past the hour, and we'll
Yep.
do some more work with this.
Yes, we're gonna be doing it.
We can pause recording.
Okay. Well, welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
And I think I'm going to pass the baton.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of focused work. Before we get into the wonderful meditation that's going to take us through this, we want to do a little bit of physicality with this. So I'm going to go through that idea. What is reverse breathing? How do we actually do that? So we're going to play with that a little bit and just do some general movement into the spine. So let's stand up and do a little bit of short little practice here to get more familiar with our microcosmic orbit. Okay. So once again, finding our Wuji posture. And let's just start to do a little bit of, get some flexibility in the spine here. So let's take a breath in. We're going to do something called spinal cord breathing. So we're going to breathe in and let's open the chest and look up towards the ceiling. And at the same time, your hips are going back. So your shoulders go back, your hips go back, flexing the spine. And then we're going to bring the shoulders forward, make a fist round the shoulders, drop the head, and slightly tuck the tailbone underneath. So let's do a little bit of flexibility here. So work with your own range of motion. Don't overextend or overflex. So chest comes out, shoulders go back, hips go back, and then shoulders and hips come forward. So just some slow movement here to say hello to the spine. Let's get some movement going into that spinal area. But at the same time, as you're doing this, you're also flexing the front of the body, the front area of the channel. So as we go chest out, let's it's collapsing here, but it's more open here. And then we collapse this and open the back. Couple more moments of that. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And one more time. Good. So let's take that a little bit further, that same exercise, and start to open up the pumps that are involved in the spine. So we have this pump right here at the base of the spine. That's the cranial pump. And then we have a pump right here at the sacrum, the sacral pump. So we want to get those going, because when we get that going, it's going to make it easier to do with the meditation. So same idea with the exercise, but this time, as we bring our hands up, do a slight tuck of the chin. So bring your chin in. Don't do it too hard, but you want to get a sense of opening up the back of the neck. And then as we go down, relax the head, but squeeze the buttocks and activate that sacral pump right there at the base of the spine. So we're going to inhale and slightly tuck the chin and relax the lower part. And then relax the upper part and squeeze the buttocks to activate the sacral pump. It's nice and slow here. Inhale, slightly tuck the chin. And then relax the chin and squeeze the buttocks and activate the lower part. So inhale, slightly tuck the chin. And then squeeze the buttocks. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And just getting this general idea of how we can move energy, because you can think of your body and this microcosmic orbit like you're moving up a water tower. You got to get the energy up here. We got to go boop, 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 boop. And then once it's there, it can flow more easily down the front. When we're working with the fire cycle, that is. But to do all that, we need a certain type of breath, and that breath is called reverse breathing. So we've been doing our abdominal breathing where we feel this and expand on the inhale, relax on the exhale. But now we want to, as the name implies, reverse it. So let's do a little practice. I got a little imagery I can give you. So take a moment and imagine there's a little pearl of light right there at the perineum, right between the legs, right where we'd be starting with our microcosmic orbit. And then bring your hands, place them right there in the small of the back, the wrist there, and let your fingers point down towards your buttocks. And we're going to pull the energy up to Ming Men, to that area right between your kidneys. And we're going to circulate that energy around the waist and then drop it back down to that starting point. So to do that, with your hands on the back, fingers pointing towards the buttocks, we're going to take a breath in, but this time you're going to squeeze the anal sphincter and you're going to bring energy up the back, all the way up to Ming Men. Imagine that pearl breaking into two parts, reforming at the navel. And now let's exhale, relax the abs, exhale through the nose, and push it back down to the perineum. So hands back in the starting position. Inhale, abs come in, little contraction of the anal sphincter. Bring that up to Ming Men between your kidneys, break into two parts to reform at the navel. Exhale, push that back down. And you start to feel how that creates pressure in this area. Inhale, abs come in. Bring that pearl around in two parts, reform it. Exhale, push it back down and relax this area. But not relax the pelvic floor. You want to have something to push to. So inhale. Exhale. Inhale, abs come in as the pearl comes up around the waist, and then exhale. So you're working with this idea of moving the chi up the back, around the waist, and then down. This is our little practice. We won't be working with this when we do the meditation. It's going to be around through the orbit, but we want to get this sense of how it builds pressure in the lower abdomen. in the lower Danshin. Inhale, exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, up the back, separate, reform, exhale. So working with that imagery of a pearl coming up as you pull your abs in, exhale, push it back down to the perineum, and then just take a moment of regular abdominal breathing and just feel how get that sense of how the difference is. Let your abdomen expand and then let it relax. Expand and relax. Just working with this idea of how this is a more flowing exercise, a more calming, and this is a more creates pressure, sends the chi out, move and then out. Used a lot in supporting moving chi through the body. It's used a lot in martial arts. So that's the breath that we're going to work with as we go through the meditation. So let's go ahead and I will let Wendy take us through that. And of course, if you have any questions about that, let us know.
Yeah, any questions before we start? Let's see, everybody chance to sit down. Okay, so this is adjusting things on my back. So this is taught in a lot of different ways. Some people just use a visualization. You say, oh, just imagine it. You do a little bit of it like a Guanggang stroke spirit. So there's some of it there, using your hands to move the energy. We're gonna do the hardcore. Really detailed method of going through this. And then we're going to do it again on Sunday. And we'll use a lighter version of doing it on Sunday. But today, really want to get this going. So just to start, now you've got some chi moving. John's got your chi moving there. I want to practice a few things. So first of all, put your finger on your navel. And just breathe in and out at your navel. Just think of breathing in and out here. Like your breath could go in and out. So you're energizing. Then you're going to go down to just above the pubic bone, and there's like the reproductive organ or the sexual center there. Breathe in and out here. You can use your finger just to press there. John's really going to enjoy himself here. Maybe I'll just have me on the screen. I know John. He'd be like, oh, this is great. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to come to the perineum. So we're going to lift your perineum as you breathe in. Exhale, relax. So breathing at the base of the body. Amazing all these places that you can breathe in and out. Sort of warming up the cycle here. And now let's go to the coccyx, at the base of your spine. Imagine you're breathing in through your tailbone into the spine and back out. And you can do a little bit of a clench there, a little wiggle. Make sure you can find it, or you can put your finger back there. It's like, where is my coccyx? So you can find your coccyx if you like. Then then come right behind the waist. So our Ming men, breathe in and out here. Then go up to 11th vertebrae, just behind the solar plexus. So there's like third chakra. These all align. All of our blocked centers, our energy blockages, our gates, all align with all these, with the with our chakras as well. Which is, of course, part of the same system. Certainly the Buddhists Shaolin is very much chakra based. And then behind your heart, which you can stretch and touch, but just do your shoulder blades, a little bit of back and forth there. And then breathing in right in between those shoulder blades into the back of your heart. Oh, your heart likes that. And then the base of the neck. We call the big hammer. That big bump. Breathe in and out here. You can think of breathing up the neck a little bit. And out. Into your cervical spine. And then finger at the base of the skull, breathing in and out here. This is just good for moving the chi inside of your head. If you get headaches, sometimes it's just the chi in the head has become stagnant. So it's nice to breathe in and out. And then you can come to the crown and breathe in and out through the crown. And exhale. If you're headachy, you breathe in less and you exhale more. Which may not work, with the physics of it all, but it does with the intention. And then third eye, mid eyebrow point. Here you can almost imagine breathing from the base of the skull on one side and out the third eye. So that's your sixth chakra. It's very head clearing. Okay, now the throat, base of the little heaven's chimney, the base here of the throat, in the little indentation at the top of the sternum. A little breath in and out here. And then coming down to the middle of the sternum. What is the CV17 point? But just think of center of the sternum. You can actually kind of slide down to you find like the little tender divot in there. And then coming down to your solar plexus. Breathing in and out of the solar plexus. Make sure your tongue is on that point above the teeth in the front teeth. And then coming back to the navel, I'm pressing at the navel again. And we've just done basically a rotation of the orbit. We've gone all the way through and around. And so we're going to breathe in now at the navel, little half of your breath. Second half of your breath, just above where you were touching the sexual center. And then exhale out through the perineum. Breathe in through the perineum. Exhale the perineum. Inhale. and exhale. Now we're going to come up to the waist. So we're going to do a little bit of a sipping in. That's just part of the breath at the perineum. Then we're going to go sip front, middle, back of the anus. 1, 2, 3. Coccyx and up to Ming Men. So exhale. Sip a little bit at the perineum. And then 1, 2, 3. Sip front, middle, back of the anus and sip at the coccyx. And finish by sipping at the Ming Men. And kind of feel that energy all kind of warm and lit up there. And exhale there. You kind of feel that warmth all the way coming up. Okay, we're going to do that one again. So again, breathing in at the perineum. Little sips, front, middle, back of the anus, then to the coccyx, then to Ming Men. And this time, let's roll it back out, down through the perineum. And see if you still feel that nice warmth going on that pathway. Okay, we're going to do it again. So taking a sip at the perineum, and then 3 little sips, front, middle, back, coccyx, at the Ming Men at the waist, back of the waist. Hold, feel that whole area energized, and exhale. Okay, so this time we're going to go a little further. We're going to go up. So that was exhale back down. I should have said that. Okay, but anyway, I could get nice and warm. Okay, we're going to sip up again, and we're going to come up to that point opposite the solar plexus, then up behind the heart, and then exhale back down. So we're just going to gradually bring our chi up. So nice and safe and yet very opening. Okay. So let's take a deep breath and exhale. Nice full breath. Sip at the perineum, front, middle, back of the anus. Little sips and to the coccyx, to Ming Men, T11 opposite the solar plexus, and then right behind, between your shoulder blades, the heart. And exhale, let that roll all the way down. And the energy being released at the perineum. You just kind of feel all that energy. You'll be pulling that energy. So you got a little stream of warm energy coming up. And feel it there. It's like it's sort of just making its mark. So let's do that again. Deep breath. Exhale. Sip to Ming Men. Front and middle back of the anus, back to the coccyx. Up to Ming Men at the waist. To T7. And up to Shen Dao behind the heart. Hold there. And let that energy flow like a warm current all the way back down and out through the perineum, or just land at the perineum. Doesn't have to leave, just there at the perineum. Okay, and we're going to go a little further. We're going to take this up to the base of the neck and then the base of the skull. So littler sips. So a nice deep breath and exhale. A little sip, perineum, front, middle, back of the anus, sip at the coccyx. Sip at Ming Men, little sip at T11, little hello sip at the Shen Dao, base of the neck, big hammer, and base of the skull, and hold. And energy pays attention when you hold your breath. And exhale. Let that roll back down to the perineum. So now there should be some nice energy at the perineum. Another deep breath and exhale. Sip at the perineum. Front, middle, back of the anus, sip to the coccyx. To Ming Men, T11, Shen Dao, big hammer, base of the skull. And exhale all the way back down. Now, to come through the base of the skull, we're going to need to pull the chin in slightly. So you want to tuck your chin. And just at that, just right there, think of pushing the middle part of the tongue upward. You still have the front part of your tongue here, but the middle part pushes up. And that kind of pulls everything back. And that pulls the energy up to your crown. We want to come up to the crown. Okay, let's give that a shot. So deep breath, exhale. Sip at the perineum, front, middle, back of the anus. That moves the energy up to the coccyx. Ming Men, T11, Shen down behind the heart. Base of the neck, big hammer, base of the skull. Tongue pushing up, and look at your crown internally. Get that chin tuck. Another nice sip all the way to the crown and feel the energy has come all the way to the crown. And then exhale, let it roll all the way back down through the spine, all the way down to your perineum. And just take a moment and feel your whole spine lit up. So all that energy in the spine. And it's moved up and down, helping to clear out the pathway. So let's take another nice deep breath and exhale. Little sip. Perineum, front, middle, back of the anus, back to the coccyx, up to Ming Men, T11, behind the shoulder blades, Shen Dao, base of the skull, base of the neck, then base of the skull, up to the crown, tucking the chin, eyes up, looking and holding there. Feel the spine all illuminated. And exhale all the way back down. And just feel that. Feel the energy has now got a nice pathway to move all the way up the spine. Nice and strong, and feeling now your lower dantian. And just breathing into here. Think of a nice little lower circulation like you do with the 5 yang exercise. Energy moving here in a nice flow, just a little bit up the back and around. Energy, vitality. Okay, and then you're going to take all that energy and let it shrink down to the size of a grapefruit. Shrink it down, then shrink it down more from the size of a grapefruit to the size of an orange. We're going to get fruity here. And from the orange, now we're going to get down to the size of a golf ball. And then to a ping pong ball. And maybe a small ping pong ball like a marble. And we want that to think of a nice bright white light marble. Okay, and then we're going to move this marble all the way up the spine, up to the crown. So taking a deep breath and exhale. And sip the energy in and connect to the marble. And sending this marble back as you sip front, middle, back of the anus, and imagine that marble moving back to the coccyx, up to Ming Men, up to T11, up to the Shen Dao, base of the neck, base of the skull, tucking the chin and sending that luminous marble right to the crown. And leaving it there as you exhale. Nice marble at the crown. You're going to bring that marble in, breathe it into the center of the head. Exhale it out through your third eye. Pull it back in at your third eye. Exhale it out at the crown. Back in and out. Pull it back in and up to sitting at the crown again. And then from the crown, we're just going to sip it down to the third eye. Put your tongue on the palate, make sure it's there. Another sip is going to bring it down to the base of the neck. Another sip down to the center of the heart. Sip again to the solar plexus, another sip to the navel. And exhale, keeping this pearl here at the navel. Now, the front of the body doesn't feel the same as bringing up the spine. Remember, it's cooler. It's more yin. It's more watery. So you're not going to have a big sensation coming down the front of the body. And that's okay. It's sort of how it is. Okay, we have our pearl there. So we're going to take a sip in now at the navel. Pearl, moving it down with the sip to the sexual center and then back to the perineum. Okay, good job. So now we're going to use more of a nice long breath to bring it all the way up to the crown and then all the way down the front of the body. So exhale and inhale and sip and a long sip. And think of pulling it, this long sip all the way up. Base of the neck and make sure you tuck the chin. Sip it all the way up, one long sip all the way up to the crown. And then tongue on the palate. Exhale down the front of the body. Down to the perineum. Another inhale and exhale. Again. Inhale, exhale. And once more. Relax. And now bring our pearl in one nice long sip. One long sip. And the base of the body all the way up. Tucking the chin all the way up, looking at the crown. Sitting at the crown, exhale down the front of the body, down through the tongue, down to the perineum, and then another long sip up the back. All the way up to the crown, exhale down the front. To the perineum, inhale again up the back. All the way to the crown, and exhale. Down the front of the body. Okay. And now finding our pearl here. And now without using the breath so much, let's move it with our intention. Let's see if you can move that pearl back to, you can use that muscle movement, but bring it back to your coccyx. And imagine it coming up to Mingmen. Just using your awareness. Where your awareness moves, the chi follows. So coming up to focusing on the Shendao and let it come to you. It's sort of like calling a little puppy that you're training. You have to call it for it to move. So we call it upward, calling it upward now to the base of the neck. Focus at the base of the neck. And then the base of the skull. The crown. Third eye. Down through the tongue to the base of the throat or top of the sternum. Down to that heart center. Solar plexus. Navel. The sexual center and back to the perineum. Good. And now you're going to play with it on your own. So you can use your breath. And if you feel an area is blocked, I want you to go back and forth through an area. It's like, I don't know if it moves through there, but you can breathe it up the spine, down the front of the body. You can also just use your awareness to move it through your body. Just depends where you're at. You can also try some water cycle. So don't be afraid to like, okay, well, I think I can feel it this way. What happens if I reverse it? So you can reverse it. So right now it's playtime. And as you play, John and I are going to send energy through your microcosmic orbits. And I'll start at the top, John, and you can start at the bottom. So you don't have to do anything. We're just going to send some energy through your microcosmic orbit as you're playing with it. So again, don't be afraid to play with it, to use your breath, to use your awareness to move the chi. Any areas that feel blocked, remembering to go back and forth through those areas. Try the water cycle. Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to bring your awareness now back to your lower dantian. And really start to move the energy there in the lower dantian, just coming up to the, well, to Mingmen. And let's just first of all have a nice lower orbit there, gathering all the energy back down. I think you've got a lot of chi built up here. And then palms at the navel. And we're going to gather the energy 9 times in each direction. And we're going to complete our practice, rub our hands together. Breathe that excess chi into the eyes. Inhale, exhale down to the lower dantian again. Soak that in. And a third breath. Wash the face. Good. Moving all that chi there, and then tapping your head. Moving the chi. You move that chi, let's move it into the skull. The whole skull. Yeah. And coming across the chest, down the inner arms. And think of tapping chi into your bones, waking up all those other meridians. Coming down the chest, under the arms, around the navel, coming up the right, down the left. Nice. Circles around the waist, tapping your kidneys. And maybe, John, groups of 3? Or have you got set up already?
I've already got it set up. There's only 8 people, so I did 4 groups of 2.
Oh, great. Okay. And down the outside of the legs, around the feet, and coming back to the navel. Okay. Yes, if people are out there going to be watching this tonight, so we'll say hello to you too.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So, how does that feel? Just take a moment and notice how your energy feels. And then share with a friend, with one of your fellow students, how that, what your experience was with that, and think of any questions that you might have. Okay, open the
Okay.
rooms.
Rooms are open.
Okay.
Okay, I might go into that room because Naomi has to step away. She's got a
Okay.
call with a lawyer.
Yeah, not. Okay. Here we go. Here they are. All right. There were some questions in there. Anyone want to share your questions? Questions or comments?
Okay, then I'll start with
Sure. Yes.
um uh I had a question regarding the breathing when I was doing it on my own and I wanted to go slow so that I could be with more awareness all the way up and down.
Yep. Yep.
I noticed that I'm running out of breath. So
Yep.
can we just, or what I did is just took it some up until my some point and then breathe out and then breathe in
Yes.
and then
Yes.
continue. Can
Yes.
we,
Yes.
is that an option? Not
Yes.
to do it all because it's for me it's too early to do it all in one breath, the
Okay.
whole thing and be
And absolutely. Like I say, we can play with this. We
mhm.
kind of did that to open it up, but then play with it. Yes. And you'll find that that works, right? So that's working.
Mhm.
You can stop and
Mhm.
take a breath and yes, that's just fine. Good. And that I like that you wanted to spend a little more focus on each one of those.
Mhm.
So that's good. Okay, Naomi.
Thank you. So when one feels blocked, so for me that's like the solar plexus, one at the back and the back of the heart. And
Okay.
you said like move between them. So does that mean go between those two wands, or what would I do?
I
What am
would I would start at the base of the neck, at the base
Okay.
of the skull, the base of the skull,
Uh-huh.
and roll all the way down past them. You want to go past the ones that are blocked. So in order to unblock them, you're kind of like have a bottle brush, and you want to think of the bottle brush being able, you're scrubbing it. It's got to have a scrubbing action in there.
Okay.
So you
So I'm
scrub-
sending the marble from the base of the skull to the hammer to the heart to the
like to T11, so behind the solar
Solar
plexus.
plexus, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can do it there.
and then back up,
Yeah,
heart T11 and back up.
yeah,
Almost like that pearl's going back and forth to kind of
yeah.
open
You
that
want it to
up
go
a little
back
bit
and
more.
forth. It's a
Okay,
back
great.
and forth thing that we're doing there. Yeah, and you may find that things come up. It's
Right.
like, I know what that's about. You can start to see that there's an emotional issue there. There's a belief, probably emotion, a belief, something there. And it's like, oh, that's why I have that tightness here. So then you can be on your way to, unraveling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we want people to practice this because it is very important for your health and for everything that we're doing here. And so you can do it lying down. I mean, it's nice to do sitting up, you
Mm-hmm.
get that nice elongated spine but you can also do it, lying in bed. It's like, oh, I'm gonna check before I go to sleep tonight, I'm gonna do my microcosmic orbit, and it just might knock you out.
You might have the best night's sleep you've had in a while.
Yes, and you can do it in the morning too. I mean, you
Yeah,
can do
right.
it or anytime when you're standing in line somewhere. It's like, oh, oh, I know I'm in traffic. Okay, well, let's just do some microcosmic orbit. So it's one of those things that you can do anytime, check in on anytime. You don't have to do a whole setup or procedure to, you're just moving the energy. So you can you can play with that, make it a part of your life.
And it really does. It does become a part of your life because you start to realize how that is something, because we all live in a world where being human, things happen. Even when you get it going, sometimes something will happen in your life and
Yeah.
it'll start to cause some problems. So you start to go, oh, how can I get that before it becomes really, really a strong issue? And I just play with it all the time.
And I notice if I remember like back with COVID and I got COVID, um, it was like, oh, where's my microcosmic orbit at? Oh, it's friggin' stopped. I know when I'm getting better, it'll be going again. But definitely would have had a lighter duty case of these things in
Hmm.
which you have a lot of vitality. It also is very good for building your Wei Qi field. So we talk a lot about the energy fields around you. So the microcosmic orbit, because it has this movement, it helps all these other energy flows. And one of those is called the belt channel. And the belt channel is horizontal. And it's these horizontal kind of ring channels that wrap you. And so these things make you more energetically it's not like you're creating a wall because it's just energy and it's not angry or energy. It's not pushing somebody away and it's not like, oh, I'm a doormat. It's just a very balanced energy. It's just this chi, but it gives you a sort of a field around you, a good field so that you feel secure inside of that field. And people who come to you also get a sense of that that's a safe person. And so we look at that
And we
also
worked
as a
with them. We
wonderful.
worked with that belt vessel when I was teaching you the reverse breathing. That was the area around the waist. That's where the belt
Mhm.
vessel.
Yeah, when you get that one going, then the other ones can get going too. They
Yeah.
reflect off of that main one at the waist.
Oop.
Yes.
Barbara has a question in the
Yeah.
chat. Um,
Oh, that tapping moved the
yeah,
chi?
tapping moves the energy in the bones. I thought it would just move energy through the body, channels lymph.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Oh no,
does
it's
both.
also
Yep.
it's also a moving thing. Yeah, tapping is also, you can think of it reverberating inside of your bones into the bone marrow and putting chi into the bone marrow. And sometimes you have kind of a nice kind of a cupping. Oh, and we have hitters,
The bamboo hitters. Yeah.
bamboo hitters, put it in.
Those are lovely, 'cause especially you can get the back when
Yes,
you those areas that are harder to get.
yes, our hitters. So anyway, yeah. Okay. So a little bit of your homework there. Play with the microcosmic orbit. And then when you feel ready, you can think about doing the gong.
Yeah. You don't feel like you
Okay.
have to do it right away. That's just a
Yes, but we'll talk about it later just to remind you.
yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay, is this the right? Yes, it is. Okay. Share here. Okay. Five elements. I know probably a lot of you have done five elements, but we get into it in our own special way here in shamanic Chinese medicine. Elements are amazing. So here's your basic five element correspondences to know. The liver is our wood element. So what is the wood element? Is that like you go chop a tree down, you got some wood? Oh, wood element. That's odd. No, but it's wood element includes everything out there that grows, from a blade of grass to a great big tree. It also includes the weather. So it includes the clouds and the rain and our atmosphere that we live in. So that's all a part of our wood element. So in some ways you could say nature is the wood element. And nature being lovely, it's our hun. We're going to talk more about them, our three hun, our ethereal souls that live in the liver. And we can look at that as the quality of kindness. We look at it as loving kindness and compassion. And compassion is one of those virtues that develops. And so our ability to be compassionate is something that we can cultivate, and then we have breakthroughs, and then we can like, oh my goodness, I feel like my heart is open, because it has to do with the opening of the heart as well. And then our what we call acquired emotions. So that was a virtues. The acquired emotions are anger and irritability and everything like that, rage, aspects of jealousy, so that attacking kind of hot energy when we feel slighted and we're going to, lose it. Those are all, losing it is part of the liver. So we're going to go into all of these in a whole lot of detail. So our heart is our fire element. And so fire is pretty much fire. Um, it's more simple than the wood. It's fire, but it's also like the sun, the fire of the sun. So, but it's fire. And then Shen is spirit. And so we have our spirit and the qualities of inner peace. We also like to put order in there. Orderliness is next to godliness or something like that. It was cleanliness anyway. Order is right in there with the Shen likes things to be ordered. Shen likes things to be harmonious because that makes things peaceful and harmonious. If you go into someone's house and they are a hoarder, it doesn't feel very peaceful and harmonious. It's in the air. And so these are the acquired emotions, which are the ones that we are working with. We acquire them because we have a human body, and we have to put boundaries up. Anger is there for a reason. All these things are here for a reason. So that's why we call them acquired emotions. They're not negative emotions. They are acquired, and they only become negative when they become chronic. So these as chronic emotions, chronic anxiety, chronic anger, chronic irritability, those are negative. But just to be angry when something happens is like, what? That is healthy. So they are healthy, that the body's response to having, to having a boundary broken. So heart, anxiety, shock. The shock causes the Shen to scatter. That disorder and chaos, the heart can't settle. It can't be peaceful. We have the spleen, which is our earth element. And that's all the stuff that's underneath nature. It's like the dirt. It's the mountains. It's the rocks of this earth, and the earth as a planet. So all the way to the center of the earth, and the earth as the planet where you were born. You are an earthling. And as an earthling, the earth is your mother. So it has really a lot to do with the energy of yin and mother. And so those are very important qualities around our earth element. And the quality is the yi. The yi has to do with our mind, our ability to think, to be, reasonable thinkers, to have common sense. But it is the thinking process, as opposed to memory, which would be more in the kidneys. And we'll talk all about that later. But so we have the yi, and we like our yi because it has intention. But what goes along with good intention? We have to have faith in our intention. Faith, honesty, truth is another really good one in there. And so, and so these are the virtues, the virtue of faith and honesty. And it's not just like faith, I have faith in the car salesman that he sold me the best car, like just like he said. No, not that kind of faith. It's more faith in the divine. So that's where the faith is. Faith in the truth, which is the truth. It's not the truth that, that this will just be 6 easy payments of $10,000 each. It's a different kind of faith and a different kind of honesty. And so developing honesty and developing a relationship with truth and trying to understand what truth is. And so that's all the quality virtues of the spleen. And then worry, overthinking, obsessiveness. What happens when you don't have faith? It's like all that. And, we have a society that is very connected to that, when someone leaves, we see, take care, like worry. And it's really nice that, oh, okay, well, I worry about you. That's like a nice thing that we worry about you. So we have a lot of virtue in our society around worry. And then we can also have an overthinking and obsessive, which, is really like that chronic worry. And, people are worriers. They're not warriors, they're worriers. So, and then we come to the lungs, and it is our metal element. So, what the heck is a metal element? Well, yeah, we can think of that as silver and gold, but these are essences. So, metal is like gold and silver are like essences of the earth. And so it would be like the jewels and the gems of the earth. And so that these quality of essence. And it's also the space element because essence is also reflects as space. So it's interesting in that way. It is to do with essence. It's not just so it's like breath and the air that we breathe. So when we breathe, we're bringing in the essence of what it takes for us to live. And so, but it's not so much, we wouldn't call it the air element. The air element would actually be more with the liver and wood. So, and in some systems, like the Tibetan system, these are not quite the same. So they're not set in stone, but, and I love to bring both together. I like to bring in more like, oh yeah, and this makes sense here and this makes sense here. But metal and then the Po, and the Po we talked about a little bit last time, but the Po, the 7 Po, they live in the lungs and they also live in various places across the body and the spine. So, but they're really interested in our survival. That's their job is to keep the body alive. So we need our Po because they keep you breathing when you fall asleep at night, basically. And they're also a Po that helps your liver function and your heart function and all of these essential activities of the body that we need. So integrity is really important to the lungs. And so being an integrous person, so your speech and your actions line up with what you know is right and true. It has to do with right, being right and that righteousness, but it's righteousness in that form of being aligned with what is truly right, like doing the right thing. And the courage to do that. So it has these qualities. And the downside of the lungs is that, that's where our sadness resides. So sadness and grief are our acquired emotions. And of course, they are appropriate when they are appropriate. And then when they become chronic, then they're no longer healthy. So, so they are kind of a downward, They're the downward emotion where the anger is like the upward emotion, like "Rrr," but they're very connected, lungs and liver. And there's a lot of back and forth, as we know, between we get angry, then we get sad. I'm just really pissed off at them, and that really makes me sad because I don't want to be pissed off with, so there's this big interplay between liver and lungs. And then kidneys, water element, which is pretty obvious. It is water. Oceans and rivers and lakes and the water in your glass and just all that stuff. It's water. Water, part of life. So fire and water are two opposites. And that would be, if we look at our bagwas, they're on opposite ends of the bagua in the postnatal bagua, not in the prenatal bagua, but that's another story. Anyway, so we have the je, which is the will, and then the importance of our willpower and our will to live. And our kidneys are the storehouse of our vitality and our energy. And we've got to have we've got to have something in that storehouse. If we're going to go and fight for life, we need to have dinner first, or we need to have breakfast first. I guess it's breakfast first before you fight for life. Anyway, so it's like have to have the vitality, to have that will, the will. And then wisdom and self-understanding are big aspects of what we get. And it's fear and loneliness. And what do we get when we go through those fearful situations, when we challenge ourselves? When, we get into a situation that scares the bejesus out of us, then we end up getting some more wisdom and self-understanding. So it's all good. And then we have loneliness, which I think needs another E in it. So
I've already made a note of that.
thank you. Yeah, so fear and loneliness are the acquired emotions there. Fear being sort of sitting underneath all these other acquired emotions. So we're going to talk about the Hun and the Po. The ethereal soul is a Hun, the corporeal soul is a Po. The Hun, the three ethereal souls. Oh, we love our Hun. Hey, Hun. Okay. Rooted within the liver. The liver's yin and blood, and we like them to stay there. Oh, be welcome and stay home. Represent our spiritual consciousness, originated in heaven, a unique state of subtle, formless energy, and associated with the chi of heaven and the virtues of the five agents, or the virtues of the agents were the Han and the Po are agents, and then we have the Yi and the Je and the Shen. So those are our five agents. And so those virtues, the Han are associated with those, and they're the little angel on the shoulder that's trying to help you live your best life and be in alignment with what you know is right and the truth, and be courageous and compassionate and orderly and just all of those grateful things, peaceful, kind. Yeah. The Hun moves within the body as freely as clouds, following the Yi or the will of the eternal soul, which is stored in the heart. So that's a different Yi than the Yi in the spleen. Or the will, which is different, this is the will of the eternal soul. So, yes, and they are the bodies, or not the bodies, but your life's videographers. And so they're said to be the ones who do the videography so that you can have a life review. So they're kind of the team. The Huns, which is really amazing to think about that this is like coming like, that they're the ones in charge of life review. The Hun's spiritual energy is able to leave the body and travel in the spiritual dimensions and then return to the body. So a lot of our dreaming at night is the Hun that are guiding us and are trying to impart on us spiritual lessons that we can learn through our dreams, which is something we do in seminar 9, I think. 9, yes. 10? No. Not 10 because I'm teaching 10. No, it is seminar 9. Yeah, it's very cool. Love the dream thing. We all love the dream thing. Okay, whoops. Go back. Yeah, Yang Qi, heavenly soul, bright lights, constructive virtues, transforming inspiration, all aspects of our lovely three Hun. Functions, control, sleep, and dreaming. Yes, assist the Shen in mental activities. Yeah, so inspiration. So where do those thoughts? Like suddenly I had a great idea. Wow. That's not coming from the dark side. Like I have a great, hopefully, if it's a great idea, it's not the dark side. So yeah, balance the emotions under the direction of the Shen. So they're there to help us do that. Remember, they're in the liver, so they can do with compassion. Responsible for the eyes because the eyes are the sort of the windows of the liver. It's called liver, windows of the soul, but the liver is associated with the eyes, or it is the sense organ. Eyes are the sense organ of the liver. They influence a person's courage and control planning. Ooh, then we started getting liver stuff here. Planning, control spirit travel. Yeah, send to heaven at the time of death. So they leave the body. And so they got to go put on their big video show. Spiritual awareness of the Hun. Spiritually and energetically, they respond to universal energetic fields of heaven. So they're very much associated, as we said, with heaven and the energies of heaven. So very spiritual. Hun can be cultivated and refined, or your relationship with them. If something shocking happens, so say suddenly you're in a car accident, the Hun leave the body. They're out of there. They're not going to hang around, or you fall down, or you break your arm, or your husband leaves you, or any of those things. Hun leaves the body. The Hun's like, oh, I'm not hanging down for this low vibration because you're going to go into your other reactions because it's quite appropriate at that point to get angry, to get sad, to get all those things, which aren't really, that's not the dominion of the Hun. The Hun are into higher elevation stuff. And so they're like, nah, we're kind of out of here. And then we have to kind of work on getting our Hun to come back in. To awaken and establish an active relationship with the Hun, use your imagination, visualization, positive affirmations. And you can do that with prayer, incantations, meditations, mudras. There's lots of things to connect with. And then we just did this wonderful class with lots of mudras in it. That's seminar 6. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And incantations. Incantations were off the chart too, and the meditations are great. Yes. So that's how we have our relationship. And then what else can we say? Well, we can talk more about. And then we have we have the Po, the 7 corporeal souls. Okay, who are these guys? They originate from the earth, and they are housed in the lungs. And they remain attached to the body until death, residing inside of the body between the perineum and the top of the head. And so they are earth spirits. They are like a part of nature that is inside of us because we have a physical body. We are not physical beings, but we are beings with a physical body. I mean, our nature is our Shen. It's spiritual. We are consciousness. But in this consciousness, we come to this planet, we decide to have an earthly birth. We marry the earth, we marry the body, and we don't stay married long. It's only as long as to breathe in and breathe out. But we keep breathing in. So that means we keep wanting to be here. So every breath says you want to be on the earth. And so that's how we attach to the body. And so it's an incredible thing to think that we have this amazing vehicle of the body and the way that this works and how we can have we have both these our divine nature, these ethereal souls that are, working with us in the night and sleep and dreams, and then we have our wonderful Po that are here. And their thing is to keep us alive. So we really need all of this. Physical nature connected to the body's Jing and Qi. It's not connected to the Shen, but it's connected to our Jing and to our Qi. It's considered to be the soul of the senses, of hearing, sight, and touch. And when someone dies, they let go of all these. Taste and smell are, should be in there too. The senses, the earthly aspects of energetic influence, and they are the counterparts of the Huns. So the Huns, there's one really for each of the Dantians, and there's a 7 poses, and there's one for each of the chakras. And so they are there also kind of giving us our experiences, animal nature, survival instincts, and drives. It's like that's the little voice on the shoulder that says, I need the biggest piece. I want the biggest share. I need the most money. I need to be at the front of the line. You know, so it pushes a person towards, surviving. And so it's going to go out there and try and survive. It's what it needs to do as a Po. Advocate experiencing life to the fullest. So, they want you to travel, they want you to they want you to enjoy sex, they want you to enjoy eating, they want you to enjoy your senses, the fullness, the beautiful color of the trees in the fall, the beautiful smell and the colors of the and so it's wonderful to be alive and have this body and to get to have these experiences, these beautiful experiences of this world and nature and body, all of that. And so when we're in harmony with our Po, everything is great. And due to the attachment to the physical body, they are also in a constant state of dying, just in the same way that the body is. So the body is always kind of getting old. We know it's not going to live forever, just like, also, the sun will also die. I mean, everything dies in this universe. The physical universe is cyclic. It has birth, growth, maturation, and then decline and death. It's just that is the nature of everything in this universe. The mountains will rise and the mountains will fall. So that's okay. This is a relationship we have with these beings that is based on that physical these physical um, processes. So when a person dies, then the Po leave the body, but they don't leave the body with like that last breath. That's the Shen. The spirit goes, but the Po doesn't go. And that's why, you know, we want to leave the body to sit for, like minimum of 3 days because you're honoring the body. It's not just like, oh, they're gone, like let's just toss the body. There's the whole honoring of the body, honoring of the spirits of the body that worked so hard to keep this person alive and that kept them alive for as long as they lived. Keeping the heart beating, keeping the lungs breathing. So you fall asleep at night, your heart's going to beat too. And your liver's going to process things and all of that. That's all of our wonderful Po. Function, somatic expression of the eternal soul, and also the reptilian brain, responsible for all physiological processes during childhood. And so, yeah, they make us grow. So all those processes of becoming an adult related to weeping and crying, because that's the lungs. And, it's like, well, it's gonna die. So it says there's a sadness about being the Po. You go back to the earth, closely related to breathing, um, connected to sexuality on the level of sensation. So, but not on the level of relationship and love and those aspects, and leaves the body via the anus upon death. And so the Po, yeah, they kind of go popo out there. But it's called the Po Man, right? That's what the name of that is in Chinese medicine. So it's where the
Yeah, it's
Po,
called the Po hole. Yep.
yeah. And the Po Man, so it's the Po gate, it's the gate of the Po. So, which is all pretty cool. Um, yeah, weeping and crying. This is our element. So keeping the Po from getting in control and keeping the connection with the divine is achieved through prayer or meditations involving visualization and imagination, positive affirmations, mantras, and that kind of goes back to what we had said about the Hun, how to have a relationship with the Hun. So you need to have your relationship with the Hun, or else you might get, tangled up with these little guys. uh, that's the Po gone bad. Purpose to develop the growth of consciousness by providing obstacles to test the individual's faith and devotion. So they have a larger focus other than just keeping us alive, which is to develop, to challenge us in many ways because we're being challenged because, if you're just very much driven by your survival instinct, then you haven't really had the opportunity to develop your spiritual side. And of course, if you're in a situation where you're looking for your next meal, of course that's what's going to happen. It can't really be any other way. And we come to this earth to grow. So we're here to grow and to develop and to become more compassionate, to become more integrous, all of those wonderful virtues. We're here, and especially wisdom. So, wisdom and compassion are really huge reasons why we take up these earth plane lives. And the Po helps us to develop this. They often work with outside hostile forces to test faith and spiritual endurance. Oh, yeah, it's when they bring their buddies in. Then things get ugly. It's like, oh yeah, I could we could get a divorce, but then we could make this. I'm really mad at that person, so I'm gonna make this really bad. I'm gonna I'm gonna just clean out the bank accounts. I'm gonna do all these terrible things to this person. That's when they brought in some outside hostile forces to test our faith and spiritual endurance. There's lots of that go on. It's, I mean, it's kind of everywhere. It's in business. It's like, wow, I thought that I was signing up for this and what? No, it's like that's not what I signed up for, but somehow that's what you got. And whoever was doing that is, they're on the dark side. So people can get into the dark side with their advertising. It's like, and you buy now, sort of like the going back to the used car salesman. Wow, it was owned by a little old lady, and it'll be gone by 6 o'clock tonight. I know it'll be sold. So if you don't buy it right now, it's your only opportunity. I can't believe it came in just this morning. So that person who's doing that is, you know, they're bringing in the little outside hostile forces. They're working with dark forces in order to lie to people. Anytime you lie to people, you have outside dark forces coming in. And then when you react to that lie, you're like, ah, screw them, and get really mad, then you brought in some hostile forces to go with that. And then everybody's demons are fighting with everybody's demons, and it turns into a big, crazy, free for all there. So that happens.
Well, Wendy, also, this is why they're the purveyors of karma too.
Yes, they are the purveyors of karma. Yeah. And so, absolutely. So yeah. So when you come into this world, you've got some agreements going on. Oh yeah, I just wanted to come in and learn. I want to learn to be more patient. I want to be, more loving person, even in difficult situations. So, this is, what we will choose. We will choose to have these, and we will choose to have even the darker, bigger hostile forces because, in the past, that's what we've done. So, and so if you were, so this is all past lives, but if you were in a past life, if you were, a bad and evil general, you got a lot of karma that you're going to have to work off. So these are the spirits that will bring these opportunities to you. And so these are opportunities. They're not punishments. They're never punishments. It's an opportunity to grow your soul in a compassionate way, or to become more full of loving kindness, to learn to, and then we're going to talk about all these guys. So each Po has a favorite mantra that it whispers inside the mind to influence the individual. When suffering in any way, they become hostile and are then given the names which express their negative characteristics and the thoughts that they evoke. So here's the Po's 7 turbid demons. Okay. So these are like encore performances. So flying poison, quick rage, evil thoughts, bad intentions, associates actually with the liver. And so these are the little, ancient pictures of them, of the Po, of the demons of the Po. So this is their friends that they bring in. And generally they bring them in because you have a weakness here. So, so this is something, and maybe you come into a family where, everybody's raging, and then you become a rageaholic too. And that's flying poison. And so the first thing is just to recognize it. And like it's like, ooh, that's not pretty. I don't want to do that. So then we have ways of working on it. And then we have spouting filth. So I like that as spouting filth, pride and arrogance in the lungs. And so that's that constant um, person who's always arrogant, who's better than other people. So we have all of that going on, and lungs. So that's where that sits, and like the chest all puffed up. That people are better than others. Then we have stinking lungs. Stinking lungs, despair, inactivity, victim, martyr. And so that's very popular. So sometimes people get 2 or 3 of these. You can be a victim and go with number 1. So you can have 1 and 3 combos, anyway. So depression, despair, um, and inactivity. Well, I can't do anything because what's the point? Because everybody always, everyone gets there first and everybody gets the good stuff, and I never get the good stuff. I don't get the good job. I don't get paid what I deserve to get paid. Somebody gets a better schedule than me. And then there's the martyr part of it. It's like where you're just like martyrs are still victims. So it's that martyr victim where, oh yes, I'm gonna go and I'll take care of that for you. You don't have to do that. I'll do that for you. But but I'll think that you're an ass at the same time for not doing it and making me do it. And so I'll be silently enraged with you. Anyway, stinking lungs. Then we can have corpse dog. I love these. They really they capture so much of the world that we live in, the personalities. Corpse dog, greed, selfish desires, covetous actions, which includes all organs and the heart. So just that person who's greedy and selfish, and just, needing for themselves. Like, okay, I mean, it's hard to work with that person. So there's that greed. So that's a good one. Corpse dog. Fallen arrow. This one is really quite classic. Unethical actions causing guilt, shame, and disgrace associated with the lungs. That one's really typical for it's like an alcoholic or someone who, any addict. So if you're an addict, you know, you're gonna get pushed into unethical actions. And then that's gonna be followed by guilt, shame, and disgrace. And so people go to the pub or whatever to drink, and then they get out of control. They get these unethical actions. They're like, starting a fight, and then afterwards, guilt, shame, and disgrace. Or it can even be people who lie about things, and then they get called out on the lie, and it puts them in a place of guilt, shame, and disgrace. Or they're cheating people and they get caught. So all of those things come under fallen arrow. Then we have yin bird. Yin bird. Past and future fears and worries cause insomnia, affecting the kidney, spleen, and heart. And so that's tossing and turning in the night. And the yin bird gets those fears and worries. It's like it puts them under a magnifying glass and then it won't let them go. So it's like just torture. So the middle of the night is torture. And then in the morning comes, it's like, what was that about? What did I stay awake for 3 hours worrying about that silly thing? When it's like, God, all I got to do is make a phone call and. So it's just laying in the worry and the fears. 7, sipping thief. Sipping thief steals life force by devouring it through negative emotions of jealousy, envy, and bitterness. And so people will hang on to like jealousy. Oh, my ex-husband, he got together you know, with his assistant. I just knew it was going to happen. And I just hate those people. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. When did that happen? Oh, 25 years ago. And it's like, oh, people will spend their lives are like bitterness, like I shouldn't have been fired from that job. And it was like, okay, when did that happen? Oh, 10 years ago. Move along. So it'll just like sip away on the life force. So the Po resonate with specific areas of the body. We have the door of Po, bladder, 42, that's the one on door of Po. Between the shoulders, treats energetic imbalances in the lungs. Po's nature is towards self-preservation or self-destruction. And the 7 Po are located along the lines of the Taiji pole. And here we are, the Po of life, the crown, the Po of spirit, which is the soul of heaven, and then the soul of the metal element. In the lungs, the Po of yang, fire element, to do with the heart. Po of chi, the soul of the wood element, associated with the liver. The Po of essence and earth, which associates with the spleen. The Po of yin, the soul of the water element, associates with the kidneys. And then we have the Po of sex, which is on the soles of the feet. in this case, which is also could be first chakra. So they all align in sort of different ways, but so they're there to sort of oppose. They're there. We want everything to be in balance and harmony. So ideally, they're in balance and harmony. But when they come out of balance and harmony, you can see they can be causing problems and blocking things. And so it's always interesting that we also, in the Christian church, the Roman Catholic Church also recognizes 7 virtues, which correspond inversely to each of the 7 deadly sins. So this is Binsfield's classification of the 7 sins and demons. And so the vice is lust and chastity, and then it has a demon. And so they're very much like the ones that we were seeing there. Gluttony, intemperance, Beelzebub, greed, charity, mammon, sloth and diligence, Belphegor, wrath and patience, Satan, Ammon, Azarox, envy and kindness, Leviathan, and then pride and humility with Lucifer. So it's just an interesting cross reference how there's 7 and 7. It's kind of interesting. So the Hun and the Po and the Yan Shen, energetic influences of the Hun and Po affect how the Yan Shen, your original spirit, organizes and controls the psycho-emotional aspects of the body's 5 yin organs. By cultivating virtue, that's our favorite thing, and listening to the spiritual counsel the Hun offers, the Yan Shen can follow the higher life path. You need to listen in. Energy body becomes powerful spiritual vehicle for the Shen. This is how an individual reconnects with the Wuji and the Tao. A state of balanced consciousness is sustained through consistent meditation and prayer. So that's what we are looking at and going with. Okay, and then we start in tomorrow. But John, are there any questions here?
Yes, there was one question
Okay.
Barbara was wondering about. If the Hun is gone, a
Yes.
person is more likely to be in poor health and develop illnesses.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They're more likely, and often it's, and I didn't say this, but the Shen goes too. In those situations, the Shen goes with shock. So the Shen, the spirit's out of the body, and then the Hun goes like, Shen's gone, I'm gone too. So it goes along, and then the Po are in charge, which is good, like the Po is going to be into the self-preservation of the body. And so we do need, it's going to be fighting for your life.
Right.
And the Hun, the Hun might be there, the Shen might be there. They're kind of watching, like, I hope this goes well. But until things kind of calm down and get peaceful, they're not coming back in. And sometimes it takes a long time. I have to work to get people's Shen to come back in. And then everything starts to get better because the Shen comes back in. They're back in their bodies. The Shen is here. And then the Hun are back into the liver. And so, and then they can start to, work again, and the liver becomes, better functioning. So, so there's all these considerations, but yes, it isn't good to have your Hun not in your body. But but when someone has a shock, something shocking happens, boom, the spirit scatters out there. And then it's really important to know that that's happened and to do work to get your Shen back in. One of last year's students had a bicycle accident this year, and she knew, oh my God, my Shen is like all over the place. She couldn't have some memory gaps and things like that. She started doing some of our practices to really consolidate to get her Shen to come back in. And, it was like the Shen does not come back in quickly, but sort of step by step, she's getting her Shen back in her body. If she hadn't known those things and done those things, she would have been in a lot worse shape. She'd probably have more of a, like you call a head injury and a lot of other negative things going on. And she's not 100% yet. because it's this process when shock is a really tricky thing, but she's really, she's 95% back in. And so she's really happy about that and happy that she knows what's going on and how to, reestablish herself back in her health and vitality in her body. And you can think about that overnight. And yeah, so it's a really interesting paradigm, but boy, I really see the truth in it after having worked with it for many, many years. So anyway, and we get to have more fun with our 5 elements tomorrow, starting with the lungs and exercises and things that go sort of more treatment kind of exercises.
Yes, exactly.
A little bit different, not just exercises. You already got some of those. Okay, so let us close it for today. Nice deep breath. So let's breathe up from the earth. Exhale and breathe up from nature and the heavens and look up and invite beautiful beautiful heavenly energy to come down like a beautiful river of heavenly energy through your physical body all the way down into the earth. And then again, breathing from the earth. Thank you, earth, nature, the heavens, and invite beautiful river of vitality to come down through you, all the way down into the earth. And again, smiling from the earth, breathing from the earth, and then from nature and from the heavens, and invite a beautiful river of heavenly energy, bringing peace, tranquility, harmony, bringing all of your bodies together in wonderful integration, all the way down, all your bodies, and bring your arms out and take a moment and just feeling gratitude. Yay, I feel gratitude for you, all of you being here. But feeling gratitude for all of life and bringing that gratitude into your heart. This beautiful world that we live in. And now I'm sending that gratitude out to all of you for being here. And John with his new computer. Yay! Yes. And to Elena and Tariq. Yes. And bringing that back in, feeling yourself now, glad that you're here, that you're a part of this. And you're part of this wonderful group that we have. And so we're very grateful and shining your light out in the world. Let your life be in alignment with all those wonderful virtues. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Welcome to the new people.
Yeah.